back for the title.
She takes it, she wins it. It's Women's Week winner, Rhian O'Sullivan.
He's to the ball. Andres Harrison nodding along in the background.
They don't get bigger than the fish.
And we go all the way.
Welcome back to the Modus Super Series. It's Darts After Dark once again. I hope you like your late night darts, because over the next couple of nights, we will find out the last three names to find their way to the Week 12 finals. Well, as far as this week is concerned, I think it's really, really good that we've got Glenn Durrant with us, because we're going to have a great night tonight, Glenn. But before we get to the course of tonight, this afternoon, it did deliver, didn't it?
No, really enjoyable. I think I even made the statement that it was my favourite Group C campaign so far. Conan Whitehead, after a disappointing Group A campaign, looked like he was cruising for 3 matches, 3 out of 3. Just a little reminder never to disrespect that Modus Super Series stage. But I thought he was fantastic in his final game over Adam Lipscomb, and then to win it on the 103 as well. Just when Adam was beginning to show signs of coming back in that game. Really enjoyable, Paul.
How's that going to make him feel? Because we saw Adam Lipscomb trying to get back into that match to make things more awkward at the top of the table. But in the end, Whitehead was the best player today, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, it was a little reminder. It was a little 99 average, that one as well. But they all had fascinating days. Richie Howson lost his first 2 games of the day and then won his last 3. He was a red-hot favourite going into Group C, playing with a bit of an injury as well. It was an intriguing, fascinating day. And I think the majority of the players can still have plenty of hope for tomorrow. But listen, my player of my day sat in 5th place. Hilton Klein with his first win after losing all 15s in the Group A. You're smiling now, Paul, as I'm sort of saying that. I think we all were. He celebrated in style. It was fantastic.
Yeah, it was fantastic. It'll be interesting to see if he can mount a charge tomorrow. As far as this week is concerned, if we look at who we've got in Group B tonight, we've got West and Evetts, and obviously Rhian O'Sullivan making her Modus Super Series debut, even though she's been here with the Women's Week throughout the course of time. But Group C, that will come to its climax tomorrow. Tonight, we've got Pilgrim, we've got West, we've got Evetts. This really has got a heavyweight feel to it.
Yeah, and I've just seen the timetable as well, and I think it falls absolutely perfect with Steve West. In fact, I'm even going to make a prediction that within 45 minutes of this Group E campaign, Steve West will be on 4 points, looking good. I think it's fallen nicely for him to see how it works, but listen, the Modus Super Series brings up many, many surprises. Pilgrim's a heavy hitter here in Portsmouth. It's time for him to deliver, get the Champions Week, win one as well. Honestly, I've waxed lyrical about his throw for a long, long time now. Slightly disappointed the way 2024 has gone for him, but I think the 3rd place is up to grabs. I'm a big fan of Ted Evetts. Steve Reynolds I'm going to be seeing him up close and personal, and do not write off Rhian O'Sullivan.
Not at all. I'm definitely not going to do so, and I know that everybody else won't either. But Ted Evetts, this year, coming off the tour for the first time, it's been a very substandard year. I think we've got to be fair about that, but he has been incrementally improving this year, hasn't he?
Yeah, I sat with him the past 3 years of my darting life there, so I know the ins and outs of him. Another very intelligent player, and maybe just began to overthink the situation. Really clean cut, really determined to succeed in the sport. He deserves everything he gets, and the platform is the Modus Super Series from right now. He'll be going to Q School. Everything's in place for him to succeed. He's a major winner, prolific winner in the development tour, but that transition from development tour to the seniors was only moments. Did he really recover from that Fallon Sherrock loss at Alexander Palace? I'm not so sure, but he's young enough to bounce back.
It's exactly 3 years to the day since he won the World Youth Championship as well, so maybe that's an omen for him to maybe start from tonight. But Rhian O'Sullivan, someone who has had success here. It was all about Greaves and Sherrock when she was lifting that trophy. You can see the delight on her face, but she is someone, whether it's Women's Week or a Modus Super Series week, which is a byproduct of her winning, we should say. We should never underestimate her because she's always been very good for decades.
First of all, lightning quick. So her games will not take long. So there's no pull back with a throw. She literally just gets into a pre-throw routine and then bang, 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 the darts go. When she's getting that rhythm going, Paul, she's as good as anything. I touted her to win the World Match Play last year, the Ladies World Match Play. She's that good. And any advice I would give to her is I've never, ever seen her lose with a Welsh national shirt on. And I went to Merthyr Tydfil once when Wales were hosting the event, and she was crying. You know, the passion that she has. She's a beautiful person inside and out. Honestly, fingers crossed she does well.
Without showing you the graphic first, who do you think's favourite for the group?
I think it could be joint favourite or West and Pilgrim.
Let's have a look then. Is he right? Close. They've got West at 16-5 in the middle. They've got Pilgrim as the favourite and Evetts in the sandwich. Yeah,
I'm surprised at where Steve West is. So immediately there's my value. I'm a huge fan of Daryl Pilgrim. I had the privilege to witness that 9-darter. I had the privilege that the 122 average that he did. So I've followed his career since, sort of scratching my head a little bit at times when he's not performing. Ted at 5-2 he'll be buzzing when he sees that, because as I mentioned earlier today, they'll see that screen in the players area. That could be a real motivational boost for him there. The value is Steve West.
It is the value, but I'm not even sure he's even seen the information that we've been party to right there. If he did, he probably would have even more motivation coming into the end of week 12. But here's what Steve West had to say before he was practicing a little bit earlier on. He had a chat with me. Steve, always great to have you here at the Modus Super Series. Towards the end of 2024, you've got one more chance to get a series title. How are you feeling?
Ropey, at best. I'm not throwing a lot now. I mean, I'm still in a little bit of pain with recovery and stuff, but I play once a week, maybe twice at a push. Don't practice in between, so I'm hoping that I can get the hours or two here before we start and make the arm work a little bit.
Thinking about the injury, obviously this year's been about rehab, getting back to where you want to be. Have you thought about what your plans will be for the start of 2025 at this point yet?
Yeah, I want to go Q school, and go for it. I don't want to just not do it, but I'm going to go, give it my all. Hopefully it works out, and if not, then I would like to have a crack at the Challenge Tour, and, obviously I'm turning 50 soon, so seniors was an option. That's all changed at the moment, but I'm going to go for that.
Thinking about what you've been through the last couple of years here and off the board, going to Q school this time, does it come with less pressure because you know that either way you can win?
Yeah, look, when I went there before, it was I want to and I need to. I need to get that and do that. But now, it's not the be-all and end-all for me. I'm a bit older, a bit wiser, and I've been through all the stuff. I've had a good career, and, if I get a card, great. If I don't, it's not the end of the world, whereas before it would have been.
Just lastly, thoughts on the group that you've got tonight, because you've got Daryl Pilgrim in there, another Super Series legend, and Ted Evetts and some others. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, tough. Even with Rhian and Steve, I don't really know Steve that well. I know of him, obviously, and I've seen him play, but yeah, it's a tough group. I wouldn't want to be in it if I could pick.
I wish you the best of luck, Steve. All the best.
Cheers, mate.
He doesn't want to be in this group if it was up to him. However, he is in this group, and it's now up to him to get points from this group to make his way to yet another Saturday. It wasn't that long ago that Steve West was 3-1 up on Jimmy Van Schie in the Series 8 semi-final. And if it wasn't for that dastardly 1-5-1 checkout that Jimmy found, there's every chance that Steve West could have been the Series 8 champion instead of Marvin van Velsen. However, that's how darts goes. He's back for another try. And he's up against someone that he knew of before this week. I think he's about to find out a little bit more about Steve Reynolds, because we, Glenn, have been learning a lot about him the last few days.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing him play right in front of that legend in your picture there, Mr. Paul Hinks. He gives us a smile, but he might be waiting for the 1-2-7 on this one. But yeah, I've been watching.
First leg, Steve West to throw first. Game on.
Steve Reynolds, he has this unique way of throwing the dart, first of all. Absolutely blisteringly good on his doubles. I think round about the 47% mark. So any advice I'd say to Steve West is
100.
don't give this man any opportunities. But yeah, it's a unique way of throwing the dart.
Yeah, there's a bit of
26.
upper arm movement laterally. And his throw is all about feel and timing, like it is for everybody else, but more for him because he doesn't have the same vertical checkpoints as other people do. Someone like Westy, who is going to throw plenty of maximums like that.
Well, you talk about feel, which is one of the
36.
most important words in any coaching session. And Steve, it's almost like he's about to release the dart. He is not settled at all. I know he's only thrown 6 darts, but you can see
43.
the effort and sort of the body movement as he's about to throw. You can see just opening his eyes there. He has not settled. He was thrown lovely in the practice area, but he's almost trying to power that dart in rather than smoothly caress the dart in.
77.
He needs to settle quickly.
And Reynolds is playing in his 4th straight day here in Portsmouth, whereas
85.
West has been playing here pretty much ever since the start of 2023. He's the winningest player. He's the serial titleist.
95. Steve Ricard,
Because 5
93.
weekly titles is his record and his alone. 99.
Game shown the
I
first
think he
leg,
settled pretty
Steve
quick,
West.
Glenn.
He certainly has, and Steve, I think he may disagree.
Second leg, Steve Reynolds who threw first. Game on.
Steve West may disagree with me, but when you go back to that Jimmy Van Schie game and you talk about that sublime finish from Jimmy that really turned that game around, for me it was the crowd
95.
involvement and the reaction by Steve West. And it's not for the first time in his career. I would love Steve to get in the zone he's in right now. You know, nothing can faze him in there now. There's no
100.
crowd. There's barely any noise in there. And I think he goes through and qualifies with ease. His big issue is this in this intimate venue that we have, is that when you're going to get
40.
the noises, he's susceptible to sort of reacting to that. That would be main criticism for me in relation to Steve West sort of coming through this week, getting to the Champions Week and
85.
actually going on to win it.
When he won week 11 in the previous series, he had just got married. He had just finished his rehab.
100.
Winning that week, it almost felt like he'd won a Champions Week. And he was so close to getting it just a couple of weeks later.
100.
I know he'd love another crack at it. And I don't think he's putting much pressure on himself over the course of this week and potentially next if he can get there. However, if he is to get there, he might have to go through Jimmy again. He's already in Saturday
15.
night, waiting for whoever is in front of him. He's already won Group A by 6 points.
And we talk about crowd involvement if he is here. The rumour is that Jimmy's got around
140.
about 25 people coming in here. And like I said, in this intimate venue where around about 50 to 70 people, it's a cracking atmosphere when there's round about that number. It does hold more. There's tickets available. And if Adam Lipscomb does qualify from Group C, we could have a
41.
full house.
Steve Ricard, 76.
Reynolds hasn't got close to a double yet. West is on his second double.
36.
And he will leave tops more than any player this week.
Well, Steve Reynolds has left his dart in the practice area. I did go and introduce myself to him earlier. And I thought he was thrown beautifully in that.
81.
In fact, his best dart was that last dart there where it was almost thrown in anger. He expects West to hit his tops.
Game shown in the second leg.
And
Steve
Julie
West.
obliges 1-1. Sorry, 2-0 to Steve, who started really,
Third
really
leg,
cute
Steve
in this
West
game.
through first. Game on.
That's the QR code you need if you want to get what are remaining of
60.
tickets for Saturday night. And we promise you here at the Live Lounge in Portsmouth that we will have the lights on. Because last night at Fratton Park, people went to the football. Didn't see any
45.
football because the lights were out. We promise you the lights will be on, even when it's darts after dark.
Yes, I wish the lights had gone off at the Riverside, let me tell you that.
85.
Well, yeah, come and join us on Saturday night. You do make it a fantastic and with Champions Week just around the corner as well.
I'll tell you what,
Be a
Glenn,
brilliant night.
we've been here for nights involving
45.
Jimmy Van Schie and Adam Lipscomb. They are mega atmospheres when those two players are involved individually. But if they're here together,
81.
this place is going to be like the 1980 World Final. Now, Reynolds needs to get something going here. He's found very little in this first evening game of his Super Series career.
85.
Yeah, it's a really difficult stage to be on when things aren't going your way. He just did not have that transfer from the practice room. And it just goes to show you, playing in Group B, you'd think, he'll now automatically settle. But it is a tough group, this one. You're
59.
playing Steve West, who's renowned as one of the best amateur players in the world of darts. But he is finding something now, thankfully, for Steve.
He has struggled in one
140.
department this week, has Reynolds. All of his points came against people in Group A who went to Group C. All of the players that were below
100.
him in the table, he beat them every time. But the people that were above him, in Pilgrim and Jimmy Van Schie, he had 0 wins against them.
59. Steve
So
Ricard,
something has to
116.
change over the next couple of nights for Reynolds. Now Reynolds will get a look at something
57.
that our referee will
Steve Ricard,
smile about
127.
if he hits it. Gets his first start at a double,
95.
and he does not hit it.
Steve Ricard, 59.
So West will look north.
Getting
And of course he hits it.
Steve West.
At the average, I would have thought when I looked up
Fourth
there,
leg, Steve Reynolds to throw first. Game on.
we have this incredible amount of statistics in front of us when the players are playing. I thought it was a really tidy performance from Steve West, but round about that 90 average mark. But you feel like there's so much more,
99.
so many more gears it can go to. But just the start you wanted. When Paul asked me the question, what do you think will happen in Group B? I said within 45 minutes, this man in your picture will be on 4 points,
140.
sat pretty. And when he's top of the table, that's when Steve West can be really dangerous.
Yeah, he's very close to getting 2 points already. And he's got the responsibility of playing Rhian O'Sullivan
45.
in her Modus Super Series debut. That may be a game that Steve will be comfortable in because of Rhian's
60.
pace. Doesn't mind a fast game.
Yes, it'll be a debut in the standard Modus Super Series. I don't care how experienced you are. There'll be early nerves there for Rhian.
140.
Hopefully she can transfer that into excitement and adrenaline and produce her best darts, just like Steve Reynolds producing his better darts now.
92.
He's gradually bubbling up, that's for sure. His average was 83.5 over the first 3 days. But his doubles, 40 hits from
83.
89 doubles that he attempted. That is really, really good. To put that on some sort of par, percentage-wise,
95. Steve
that's
Ricard,
around about what Damon
134.
Hetter's done this year. And he's the best doubler on the Pro Tour.
Treble 18 will be the shot.
58. Steve
Where
Ricard,
Steve West has
114.
started his Group B campaign. He'll fancy this. Perfect first. Very nice second.
94.
I think he might have been
Steve Ricard,
distracted by that
76.
second dart, only just finding it single.
I think you're right, the way he pointed to it there, Paul. Well, let's test the finishing. Well, you've got to get down there. And round that low 5 and low 1, he has not got his timing right with his throw at all.
I wonder if he's suffering from the old dart lag,
36.
going from early to
Steve
late.
Ricard, 20.
It is a thing, just like 4-0 wins are.
Good marker. Just has to move across the hockey. Getting closer.
No score.
That
Steve
will
Ricard,
frustrate.
40.
This entire game now for Reynolds is a free hit.
Getting shot in the fourth leg, Steve Reynolds.
He will be relieved to get off the mark leg-wise right there.
Fifth leg, Steve West to throw first. Game on. But
that's not the kind of situation that's going to make you feel really, really cross if you're West. I know you want to get the job done,
40.
But had that been his throw in leg 4, he would have been seething. The fact that it wasn't, you can just move on, get into this leg, strangle
59.
your opponent with scoring, and just get it done anyway.
Yeah, I think he knows he's the better player in this game, so just a little bit more time on the Rocky there. I don't think he particularly want to go into his next game after messing
42.
about on his doubles. But I think my advice to anybody is just get the points on the board. Don't worry about too much about the performances, because I always feel, Paul, come Saturday night, it's almost a different competition.
Steve knows that. Jimmy Van Schie knows that. And anybody who has won on a Saturday night knows that. And in fact, I think the person who proves that the most was the first winner of this series, Darius Labanauskas. Twice in consecutive campaigns, he's played okay during the week. And on Saturday night, he's like an alter ego of Darius Labanauskas, the good version.
Yeah, people just love that crowd. I think with Darius, he's used to being the underdog. He's used to being in a room full of his opponent's fans. I think he thrives when challenged. Just like Steve Reynolds is. I'll tell you, he started this game awful. I mean, his average was in the 50s
100
for a set and a half.
160.
Trying to square it up.
60.
And all he can do is take the 60 off. And Reynolds can get back into this game if he takes this out.
$78.
Wide of the mark.
Supercar 100.
And West has another chance to bank those 2 valuable points. He wants 2 darts at tops. He gets them.
60.
But it's 2 more misses at the outer ring, and Reynolds is still there.
Well, the attempts by Reynolds in that previous game were way off the mark. We've talked very positively about his doubles. Well, he's 1 from 8 on the outer ring. Steve's had match darts. This time he's just taking his time. I fully anticipate this to go. We might need the double 10. Doesn't want to go at the double 5. He's been here before in this double 10. But this time it's a different result, and Steve West is up and running. He is one of the big names this week at the Modus Super Series. It's smiles all round. It was a disappointing start to the match for Steve Reynolds. He just looks a little bit pensive there. He'll have to go back, reset. For Steve West, just what the doctor ordered. He was round about the 90 average throughout the game. He was the dominating player. He's the first player to get 2 points. The big games will come tonight. No bigger than the next one. It's Ted Evetts against Daryl Pilgrim.
A very late and warm welcome back to the Modus Super Series. Thanks for your company. And I'm sure you're tuning in to watch what is a great fixture here at the Modus Super Series, because Pilgrim, 3-time weekly winner, up against Ted Evetts, one of the best players to have ever stepped foot in this place, who has not yet won a weekly title. He's from Stockton, not the one in the northeast, but the one in the middle of the country. Nicknamed Super Ted, of course. A man who is so proud of his knowledge of lots of things like food, darts, and novelty socks. If you think I'm joking, one of these days we're going to get him to talk about them, because tonight he has got an absolute belter of a pair on. But he's up against Mr. P, who is, most of the time when he comes here, Mr. W. But he hasn't won a title since Series 5, which is over a year now.
Perfect, Ted to throw first. Game on.
Yeah, every time I see sort of Daryl Pilgrim on that stage, it does take me to that incredible hour that he had where he broke the record average here with 122.69.
59.
Also had the highest losing average as well with 118.88 and a 9-darter to boot. It was a moment I won't forget. And I think he's changed his dart. You might correct me there, Paul, but again, my mind's going back to that day, and it doesn't look exactly like that dart that he's thrown.
Yeah, he might have done some tweaks since then. But can you imagine averaging more than 120 for 2 consecutive games? Because that's what happened.
100.
That was not a hot spell. That was a lava-like spell.
Yeah, I think the greatest moment I ever witnessed was Andreas Harrison winning a series on that incredible finish. Beautiful 180, by the way. Very all on a pinhead there. But that Andreas Harrison winning the title, everything that it meant, and you know, Cam Crabtree sat on a double right behind him. But that hour that we're talking about with Daryl Pilgrim was, well, it was insane.
Well, it is Thanksgiving in North America today, and everybody who is watching
57.
this right now, if you're from North America, then happy Thanksgiving. And if Cam Crabtree was going to make some sort of Thanksgiving wish, he'd probably say, please let me not be in the same room as Harrison for a little while, because everywhere Cam's gone in the last year, it seems like Harrison has been doing things to break his heart. Pilgrim is not going to have a dream shot there to start this match. But Evetts might dip his bread.
Cedric R 106.
Well, you feel it's going to have to go, because that's a beautiful set of play for Daryl Pilgrim. I think both of them realise the importance of this game. Such a good mark. He decided to go up with the treble to leave double 13. So Pilgrim will be back, all based on the fact of that beautiful set of play.
Well, this is the double that won his friend Connor Scott a weekly title.
Game shown the first
and it gets Daryl the first leg against the throw.
Second leg, Daryl to throw first. Game on.
Yeah, that night Connor Scott won the title, went to Champions Night, lost in the semi-finals. The same place where Steve West lost out in the previous series. Connor is going to the Pro Tour, and many congratulations to him. And after a quarter-final appearance at the recent PCF, he's going to the Worlds full of confidence.
Great story, isn't it, Paul? And that is, a lot of it's down to work ethic with Connor. So many players will tell you they're practicing 6 to 8 hours a day. Well, a system that he uses will tell you that he's playing 6 to 8 hours a day. He will play someone a best of 21. He'll play someone one leg. He absolutely loves the game, and he's reaping the reward right now as Connor Scott. He'll be a welcome addition back as a professional player. Exactly where these two players want to be.
65.
Yeah, Ted would love to be back on tour. He was there for quite some time.
Yeah.
Good 6-7 years. But today is the anniversary of
55.
him winning the World Youth Championship against Nathan Rafferty. A day that a lot of people who are part of production here will remember very well, because that was on a Sunday night at Minehead. Ted lifted the trophy. And then Nathan Rafferty hot-footed it to Southampton the next morning to play in the then Live League.
59.
And if I remember right, he played rather well. But yeah, it'll be I think Ted will be really honest. It's not where he wants to be. He's tasted success in the PDC. Often facing darts. Not Daryl Pilgrim's producing right now. I think Daryl Pilgrim should say, Glenn, will you commentate in all my games? He never looks like missing. Good from Evetts.
Thump
66.
from Ted. Should be one dart. And is.
48.
And that's why you hit that max. Just in case. Because if you get the chance, it's just single to double to get level. Double 10. Very well found.
Second leg, Ted Evetts.
That's the luxury of double 10, isn't it? He was going for the middle, drags it a bit low, but as long as you get the weight of dart right,
game on.
enough, you can draw level against a very dangerous opponent.
Yep, they know each other very, very well. As played 3 times on the Challenge Tour, as we've alluded to. As recent as the 3rd of November as well. Just 4 weeks ago when it was a semi-final at the Challenge Tour with Ted Evetts getting over the line in this one. So Ted won't be one of those players who'll be frightened of what Daryl Pilgrim's done in that stage.
Well, this is a good game for maximums. That's the 4th already. It's only like 3.
Yeah, 3 from Pilgrim. Very sort of mechanical throw, Ted's. That's second. I mean, we're talking an awful lot about the replication of a throw. Let me tell you, all 3 darts were thrown differently there from Ted. Ted has this mechanic of throwing the dart, stopping, and then bringing the dart back and throwing it. He'll definitely show it on the first dart. He almost stops at the forward press at that point there. And then he automatically seems to be... He must have worked on just second and darts 2 and 3 as all being one tick-tock motion, because that's definitely different to how he was playing last time I seen him play.
Absolutely right. It's very Gary Anderson, isn't it?
Well, no, it's actually... I think Damon Hetter... When Damon Hetter come over in 2018-19, he was a lot more methodical, and now he throws that first dart, and then second and third, it looks like they're just on repeat. Can't get the treble 17 he needed, Paul.
But he was aiming
57.
dart 2 there, because when he changes
92.
target, he's got to re-aim.
Good point.
18s on the double,
56.
but not
Ted Rukar, 64.
on the double.
A superb effort, though. I think Ted just said unlucky there as he walked by. The gentleman there is Ted Evetts, but he's got to be ruthless here. So it's just the 1 dart. He's on throw. And for the first time in this match, leads 2-1. This is a match full of quality.
Fourth leg, Daryl through first. Game on.
Just looking back at that game that they played in the Challenge Tour and in Challenge Tour 24, it was a semi-final that Ted won, like you mentioned, Glenn.
89.
Everybody that was in the quarterfinals that day, they've played here this year. You got Pilgrim, who beat Cam Crabtree, who we've already mentioned. Adam Paxton, former weekly winner here this year, took out Carl Wilson.
59.
Sebastian Białowski, who would go on to win the tournament, beat Callum Francis, who we saw here very recently, and he's had a pretty good year. Ted Evetts took out Hendo, the winningest senior player of the season, and that is another 180 for Pilgrim. That's his 4th. He's getting one every leg. The record for 180s
93.
by a player in a match is Mark Dudbridge at 7. If we have 7 legs in this match, he's actually on course to equal it.
Oh, I tell you what, if that one had gone in there, Paul, I was on your side.
80.
I'm all for the sleeve. I'm all for the tattoos on the arm. But I find Daryl's a little bit off-putting. It looks like he's got varicose veins. I keep looking and thinking his veins are popping out of his arms.
152.
If he doesn't win this leg, the vein's going to be popping out of his temple because he'd be angry. That'll do very nicely.
128.
If you're not enjoying this game, then maybe Modus Super Series is not for you. This is a belter of a match.
Yeah, Darrell is averaging 107 and losing. And here he goes again with another
139.
approach
24.
effort here, just in case. Double six. Oh no, and Evetts is right there to pounce again.
No score. Ted Yukar 70.
1 from 8 is the difference between the two players in this game on the doubles for Darrell Pilgrim. The doubles have been kind so far for Ted Evetts. Boy, does he need tops here. Pilgrim
30.
couldn't look.
Ted Yukar 24.
That could be the most key shot in this match so far. And it was a miss. Double three. That is a big sigh of relief for Pilgrim. You can see, based on his gesturing right there, that he made hard work of a leg that he was bossing.
Yeah, I tell you what, there's a good rapport between the pair of them. Like I said, Ted once again said good shot, but I said that double three will have been said through gritted teeth.
100.
I've got a really good game to play tonight, actually. And I want everybody who's at home watching this to play along with your favourite dart players and insert their name into this.
93.
If, I'm going to use Ted Evetts as an example here. If Ted Evetts is not found on a dartboard, where are you most likely to find him?
100.
And my answer to that is Fortnum and Mason. Because he's the only dart player I know who goes to that shop in search of really strange honeys.
94.
He knows more about honey than anybody I've ever met. It is quite astounding. So if you use that for a different player, let's use Richie Howson. We saw him this afternoon.
135.
If you're not going to find Richie Howson on a dartboard, where are you going to find him? Probably on a snooker table.
Or fishing.
94.
Okay, so if you're playing bogey number bingo today, there's your 166. We've almost got them all, Glenn.
Just need the full corner out. This is a good performance. And like I said, I'm fascinated.
134.
I have this problem with players' throws right now, and Ted Evetts is in transition, let me tell you. That first dart is how we always throw. Maybe the next 3 darts is not the best because, as Paul alluded
60.
to, I think he
Ted Yukar
changes his throw for
32.
different targets of the board here. But he's working on, I think, the Damon Hector factor here.
He's going over the top of this one. Well, he's choosing to go right here instead of through the posts. Great choice.
Each on the 5th leg, Ted Evetts.
Tell you what, Paul, first I've ever seen Darrell Pilgrim
6
fidgety.
leg Darrell through first. Game on.
He couldn't watch that final dart. Normally so smooth, so much in control. Like I said, both of these players will know the importance. It doesn't get much tougher than playing
100.
each other. I think there's the way they're looking at it. But Paul, just have a look at the way Ted. So Ted always, that stutter almost. Now it's just one motion.
93.
I remember watching Gary Anderson in his first World Final back in 2011 against Adrian Lewis. A great game of darts. For me, technically, that is the best I've ever seen Gary play in that tournament because his positions were perfect. But at that time, I think he was trying to figure out aiming dart 1 and flowing with darts 2 and 3. It would still take him another 4 years to put it into
100.
full-blown Flying Scotsman 100% beast mode. But when he clicked it, wow. Pilgrim is doing another wow thing here by hitting 5 maximums in this match and is behind. It's the first time we've seen 5 maximums by a player in a game this week. He was one of 2 players
51.
who'd had 4 already.
81.
Yeah, it's been a really, really enjoyable game. I think it deserves to go the distance. Ted Evetts will still be a slight favourite for this match.
Oh, no.
Could be a big favourite if he can set up here, because that'd be a tough one to go back to 81. He doesn't look as comfortable, Pilgrim, as I've normally seen him.
Do you think it's got something to do with how frustrating this game has been?
That'll look at 81.
Ted is always cool, calm and collected.
Difference this time is that he went for the treble 16 to try and hit 81. The same route, but with the last two darts inverted. But he misses
49.
the 16 and gives Ted a free shot to win the match. Miraculously, by 4 legs to 2.
Yeah, I like that term, free shot. It's exactly the way I read it. And I think it's the way Ted did as well.
133.
Pilgrim's had his problems on the outer ring, just 2 from 12.
Game shot on the
No
6
problem
leg,
whatsoever. We said this deserves to go the distance. It's been a real cracker. It's had absolutely everything.
Game on.
Both very, very acceptable averages. Massive scoring of 180s and that man in your picture there. However, Ted Evetts has the darts. That could be crucial.
134.
Treble 19 betters been wounded a bit by Evetts in the last couple of visits. By the way, that thinking on 157. We sit here, experienced players ourselves. We are still learning. Now, when I've got 157 left, I'm going 57 first. Because you get a 133, it leaves double 12. That is genius. I've never seen that before. I think that is elite.
Yeah, he's a real student of the game, so that'll be strategic, that from Ted. He'll know exactly what he wants to do on certain finishes, almost like planning his attack. Well, he's planned this absolutely perfect.
140.
But Mr. P can be perfect. Now only 30 points in it, but crucially, Ted has the darts. There's the scoring power pack there. 6 180s between them. But doesn't tell the full story. Pilgrim having 5 of them.
140.
What a return.
The ability to withstand the firepower that Pilgrim has thrown at
57.
Evetts. That takes
130.
real steel. But, admittedly, Pilgrim has missed 10 darts at a double in this match. And Evetts now gets his chance to end it.
94.
Wonderful again. And for Pilgrim, hope over expectation right now. Even though 180 is 6 of this game, you don't feel will be enough.
123.
Well, it's hard to score.
Ted Ricard 36.
But it's now up to Ted. He had the darts at the start of leg 7. He's on a double after 12. And he's won the game in 7 legs. What a topsy-turvy start to proceedings in Group B. My word. That one's going to spin Pilgrim's head for a little while. It's probably a good thing. He's got 2 games off just to let it soak in that he's lost it. However, if you look at Ted's scoring, his doubling, he was a very good competitor. And he wins that by 4 legs to 3 to get his first 2 points on the board. Just like West, who is back at the hockey next to take on Rhian O'Sullivan.
And welcome back to the Modus Super Series, where Ted Evetts has just said to Steve West and Rhian O'Sullivan, follow that, because we've just witnessed a beautiful game of darts between Ted Evetts and Daryl Pilgrim, a match that had 6 180s, a winning average of over 99 for Ted Evetts. It pretty much had everything. And what I would say, Paul, is I think Ted Evetts has just become a major player this week, but one of the highlights of being sat in this chair this week is watching Rhian O'Sullivan on debut. She has been here for the Women's Specials Week, which she won against Steve West, one of the best players to ever apply his trade on that stage, and already a comfortable winner in his first game. And round about an hour ago, I said Steve West will be on 4 points, but at the same time, he will not disregard the chances of Rhian O'Sullivan.
First leg, Rhian through first. Game on.
Fascinating contest, Paul. Really looking forward to this one.
Yeah, so am I. And I have to say this because in times gone by,
22.
we've seen Rhian and Steve apply their trade over the course of years for their countries, for their counties,
One of them,
for themselves. But where else would they play against each other in front of cameras like this if it
100.
wasn't for the Modus Super Series? This is just a little bit different. And one of the best things about the Modus Super Series is what Matthew Edgar talks about. It's
83.
where worlds collide. It's ADG, it's ADC, it's PDC, it's WDF,
60.
it's Women's Series. It's everything under the same roof. And that wasn't
94.
always so, was it?
Yes, and on Sunday it'll be DUZ smashing Pieface. So make sure you're here for
83.
Sunday. But absolutely, and the biggest credit I can give to Rhian O'Sullivan is that Steve West is deep, deep in the zone.
100.
He's treating this like whether he's playing on the Alexander Palace stage right now. He will respect everything that Rhian's done in her career.
Definitely.
Lightning quick.
One of them, 40. Steve got
Lightning
84.
quick and lightning good. Treble 13 was the target to try and leave tops. It's always going to be the plan
Rhian, you can
to leave tops. Rhian wants 2 darts of double 18.
Yeah, I've got a question for you next leg.
Game
Got plenty of time to see Rhian
O'Sullivan.
O'Sullivan started slowly in this match with that score
Second
of
Steve to throw first.
20
Game
odd
on.
with the first 3 darts. Steve West looked like he had total control And that just crept into the double 8. My question to you,
26.
Paul, is are we over these days of a man playing against a... Will Steve West be nervous about playing Rhian because she's a woman player?
Absolutely
81.
not. I think those days are gone, and I am so glad they are. I can say from my personal experience, the first time that I played a competitive game against a woman was not in the UK. I had to move to a different continent to see things differently. It was the Super League in
140.
Dandenong in Victoria. And then one night, we started a new season, and Carol Forward was in our division.
140.
And I felt nervous playing against a woman because I'd never done it before. Nowadays, it's just part and parcel of the game. It just goes to show how much we've moved on.
121. Steve Carr, 155.
Add 159 to the collection. Oh, this would be good. A treble 19 would have left the double 19.
123.
This is a really solid start from Steve West.
Well, there's the 159, Glenn. The only thing we're missing for
59.
bogey number
Steve
bingo
Carr,
today is
32.
168.
It's a level up
on the
proceedings.
second leg,
Good
Steve
game,
West.
been spoiled tonight. Steve West started with that real demolition
Third
job
leg, Rhian to
over
throw first. Game
Steve
on.
Reynolds, and then we witnessed that sensational game between Evetts and Pilgrim. And this one has started with Steve West currently averaging over 101.
100.
With Rhian O'Sullivan with that rat-a-tat style playing her part in another great game.
58.
Your question about playing against women leads me to something that you have actually done with
76.
a woman, because you have had a 9-darter in pairs with a certain Claire, haven't you?
Yeah, Claire Stamford, I
45.
think, was a holiday camp at Breen Sands, I think. Yeah, it was a surreal experience. I think everybody was in shock against Martin Adams as well.
135.
We got him to sign the sheet afterwards. Yeah, it was a fabulous moment. I'm sure Claire never shuts up about it.
Yeah, Claire gets the
43.
180 after you get the 180 and you take out the 141.
I think it was a 144, so it might have been 177. I'm not 100%.
100.
My memory these days, Paul. But what I do remember is playing Fallon Sherrick at a Premier League. That was a real eye-opener.
That was Nottingham, wasn't it?
100. Rhian O'Carr, 90.
12 darts. Rhian O'Sullivan's on 90 points, dare I say. Taking real control at the moment. Just a little bit scrappy. Not the greatest of counters is
40.
Rhian O'Sullivan. I've had the pleasure of commentating a lot of the game in the PDC Women's Series, and accounting is not great. I don't think she'd have
100.
too many mistakes when she's
O'Carr,
playing the
50.
likes of Steve West.
She's not going to do what Conan Whitehead did earlier on the Bull,
Game
but she is going to take 50
Rhian
out in 2
O'Sullivan.
darts for a 17-darter and the lead once again.
Fourth leg, Steve to throw first.
Now, is there any
Game on.
reason that she can't go on with performances like this to make a Saturday night in the Modus Super
140.
Series, just like Gemma Hayter, just like Fallon Sherrick, just like Nolan van Leuven and Lisa Ashton? Any reason at all?
41.
I can't
No.
think of one.
Only the fact that this Group B is stacked. Steve Reynolds could play a big part because he was disappointed. He almost just gave the first one to Steve West.
60.
He'll get better. But yeah, you've read out some fantastic names there. But, you know, when I looked at this Group B,
45.
Steve West, Darryl Pilgrim, right there through, who's going to join him? Well, Ted Evetts just blew me away in that last game there. He's become a major player now. But Rhian, if she can get over the line
100.
against Steve West, that momentum can really kick in.
26.
Just got a bit scrappy in this 4th leg, and West's got to be all over this, which he is.
Well, if you're going to have a scrappy leg, Paul,
100.
the fact it's on Steve West is the only shining light for her.
I tell you what Westy doesn't want to do. He doesn't want to play his darts over the next couple of nights like
125.
Spurs.
Steve Carr,
He doesn't want to
101.
win, then lose, and have mystifying responses.
77.
He will be back for double 12 to equalise at 2-2. I mentioned Spurs because he is a Spurs fan, and he has actually done the famous
60.
Sky
Supercar
Walk
24.
at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium with his wife Michelle.
Game shot of the fourth
It's
leg,
not a
Steve
sky-high
West.
average, but I tell you what, he's averaging nearly 90 again.
Fifth leg, Rhian to throw first.
He might not be
Game
throwing
on.
as much as he was a month or two ago, but it's still very effective at this level.
Yeah, I like the dart setup. I thought when he first started
43.
using, they looked a little bit too grippy for Steve. But I think the real balance of those darts, and I thought it was a terrific interview you did with him. He is going to go to Q school, but it's not the be-all and
114.
end-all. And that type of attitude is not something that you'd associate with sort of Steve West. It might be just a really good thing for
41.
him. And he's just beginning to turn the screw in this match. Now he's effectively taken the darts in this leg. And if he's going to win this match, he has to beat Rhian.
97.
Did you ever get a look or a feel of his previous darts? They were so grippy.
81.
My first thought was, when I tried to throw them, I don't know whether to throw these darts or use these barrels to zest a lemon. They were that sharp.
100.
Yeah, they're a good feel. They look good. They're flying beautifully. I'm just sort of looking over his shoulder in the comms box as well. And it's how a dart you
100.
want to fly in the air.
64.
But he is 2-2 in this game.
He was trying to leave double 12 again.
60.
He'll have to settle for a 3-darter still.
Yeah, 140 here from Rhian. She's already checked out on 96. Can she squeeze another one?
100. Supercar 104.
16s. 4 of them. For you guessed it, that.
Game shot on the fifth leg, Steve West.
It's amazing
Six
how
leg Steve to throw
you can go
first.
for the same
Game on.
target for about 25 years and never get sick of it.
Yeah, especially in that combination finishing as well. And listen, top of the table in the Group C was
57.
Conan Whitehead, and he had a few attempts where he had one dart in his hand on combination. It was at tops, and he delivered. Steve West in the most important dart of this match, and
76.
just a nice touch as well from Rhian O'Sullivan. Just a little pat on the thigh to say good darts, played in good spirit. But Steve West very, very early in this Group B campaign
81.
is looking very pretty. He could be sat on 4 points after only 3 games played.
83.
Be roles reversal tomorrow, remember, so Steve West will, his majority of his games will be the back end of play tomorrow.
58.
A couple of big games coming up for him later today, but I'm sure when he looked at the plan, the timetable,
55.
winning those first 2 was fundamental.
Yeah, I think you're right. Getting off to a good start is always the plan. But when you look at the fact that he's got
81.
Pilgrim in his last game tonight, he'd love to have a minimum of 4 points by the time he gets there.
Yeah, having those points in the bag could be just take the pressure off a little bit.
45.
And he's looked like we're 20 points ahead here. 1 big score.
60.
Well, it keeps it interesting. If Rhian O'Sullivan, who's searching for her first 180 on that stage,
60.
then would have been
Supercar
marvellous.
164.
Has the luxury of 6 darts from here. Might stay there. Trying to leave double 12. And does.
140.
Seasoned board management.
Yeah, when you have a player who has that desired double and to leave it again.
100. Supercar 24.
Well, this time it is for the match. It's been an absorbing game. Rhian O'Sullivan has played her part.
12.
Not to be.
Rhian O'Sullivan 82.
Took him a few attempts to get over the line in his last match. Going to be tops.
42.
Can't save it.
Supercar
So West
12.
now goes to the right-hand side of the board to get the job done.
It's double 6. As West goes east
Game shot on the
for a
match, Steve
fantastic
West.
win. It was a real good game, that one. Rhian O'Sullivan played her part. She's going to be dangerous. She might fancy her chances, knowing what that stage is now about. She probably identified Steve West as a real benchmark for her. She played her part. The form just dipped at the back end of it. So that's something she can go back and work on. But for Steve West, we said those opening 2 games, he'd finish on 4 points. He's duly delivered. Steve West is looking good for qualification already this early. It was a disappointing start to the night for Steve Reynolds. He's up next against the very impressive Ted Evetts.
Ten games coming your way tonight, and this will be number 4. And a chance for Evetts to double his total. Only 2 players have got points so far. Evetts is one of them. Reynolds not able to get over the line against Steve West, who has now got 4 points, thanks to beating Reynolds and now Rhian O'Sullivan. If Evetts wins again, it will still be 2 players who have points. And this will be the ideal start for the 2 very fancied Englishmen in this group. Super Ted really was super, with the highest average of the night so far, and defying 5 maximums from his opponent Pilgrim in Game 2. Steve Reynolds, Glenn, has got to get off to a better start here. Otherwise, he does run the risk of being cut adrift by the end of the night.
Yeah, certainly wasn't.
First leg, Steve to throw first. Game on.
It certainly wasn't Super Steve in that opening game. I mean, Steve West can't believe his luck, because Steve Reynolds was based on that Group A campaign, and that dart there was everything about his first game. He's just
45.
not got his throat, just hasn't got his timing right. You can see the frustration already. And the way Ted Evetts played in that first game, he should be seeing that treble like a bucket.
177.
I suppose the treble 19 is not bad either. We did get a 9-darter very recently on this stage, just over 2 weeks ago, from Adam Mould.
100.
What a leg of darts that was.
Yeah, one of my favourite nicknames, that. Mouldy. Don't know where he gets it from, though. I don't know where anyway, anyone that was called does that. Better stay quiet, but this is good.
134.
Ted Evetts. Maybe I slightly doubted him because when I looked at this group, Pilgrim, West, and one from the other three, how dare I?
70.
Well,
Yeah,
if it is a gap year, then Paul, for Ted, I think he's certainly putting the hours and practice in
100.
because he's clearly been working on a few things, and I know it's early in this competition, but the signs are good.
Yeah, signs are good. He's always had a really good level about him. But it was always going to be tricky for the 27-year-old to transition from the development tour through to being a full-time senior player. It's difficult for some. It's not overnight like your Dimitris and your Luke Humphreys all the time. But then again, that's an 11-darter. And he really has come into this campaign more comfortable than I've ever seen him in a first day, because it has taken him a while to get going sometimes.
And I've just had that uncomfortable feeling that on Sunday in the influencer event, the pro player I'm
43.
playing against is Ted Evetts. Help!
So he's playing with Pie Face, is he?
Pie Face. I can't lose to him. I'm gonna have to have a little practice tomorrow.
83.
Can't lose to Pie Face.
And you're playing with Charlie Murphy?
Charlie Murphy. Carry me, Charlie. Carry me.
Yeah, don't miss that event. If you're subscribed to the Modus Super Series
135.
YouTube channel, click that notification bell and we'll let you know when we go live. But it's going to be the middle of the afternoon on Sunday. That's how you do it. Just find that subscribe button. Doesn't cost you anything.
How did you do that?
Well, it goes like this. 3, 2, 1. Dazza!
Very good.
97.
Very good Ted Evetts at the moment. It's almost like in shock. It's not the fact that he's producing the goods. It's just how good he's looking. And
100.
yeah, these are really good times. And listen, Q School around the corner. Things could be going to plan for Ted Evetts. Whatever happens the rest of this week, he knows the ceiling's there.
I think this could well be the fruits
134.
of some labours we haven't seen, because it does look fairly experimental what we're seeing right now, but he might have been doing this for a good couple of months, getting ready for
100.
the end of this
Telecom
series,
92.
going into Christmas with good form, and then potentially taking that into the start of 2025, like Glenn mentioned. Still got a chance on this one, but no longer.
Yeah, I don't hate that decision.
40.
It's almost
See the car
a little bit
118.
old-fashioned way to go on that one now. For Steve, we talked about how good his finishing was in that Group A campaign. Let's test it here with double 19.
80. Ted car 52.
It's not quite as sharp as it was earlier in the week, but he did start Group A with a couple of losses. Is the same going to happen again in a group that's a lot shorter?
12.
He gets
See
a
the car
reprieve.
38.
Yeah, first real error there for Ted. This time it's a change of strategy for Reynolds. It's the Mensa Sulovic double,
Game
and it
shot on the
works
second
for
leg,
Steve.
Reynolds.
Come on, he's saying to himself, there's a little bit of self-motivation.
Perfect
So
Steve to throw first. Game on.
first real nervy moment there for Ted. Let's test his mettle to see how he responds to that. And we've been talking about athletes all day. Here's a name for you, looking at the name Steve Reynolds. How about Butch Reynolds?
100.
That takes me back. 400-metre runner, wasn't he?
World record holder at one point.
I don't make athletes like that anymore. He was imposing.
41.
I remember listening to Roger Black talking about him once. My word, he said he was just a man mountain. He was like Edwin Moses, the hurdler.
Oh, remember Ed? Didn't he go about 200
83.
races unbeaten?
Yeah.
Anyway, never mind. Athletics Weekly here at the Modus Super Series.
I want to see Athletics Week at the Super Series. I want to see Ted Evetts in the marathon because he can run.
Yeah.
140.
He can do an easy 10K. He can do a speedy 5K.
140.
Yeah, it's really good from Steve Reynolds. Really, really good. If you were with us for that first game, he was all over the place. Found something just at the back end of that match. Again, started very, very slowly in this game, and Ted looked like he was flying to a 2-0 lead.
60.
That's the beauty of these best of 7 games, if you can just find something. Those wayward darts and the 1s and the 5s has been the problem.
41.
And it's not as simple, Paul, of him just aiming above the treble 20, because you can just get that camera angle there. He sort of understacks the dart. So if he is going to miss the treble 20, Steve Reynolds, ideally it's just underneath that treble 20 rather than just above.
Correct. Maybe not as pronounced as Richie Howson from earlier, but still the same
44.
method.
Steve Car 137.
Offer him 97 right now, he'll have your hand off. He could take it out. He's got 77 left. Over to you, Steve. Bingo. Just like that. And that might be the thing that gets him going. He's got the lead.
430 through first. Game on.
That was a rip snorter.
I ran into Steve a little bit earlier tonight, and he put me to task about something I said earlier in the week, which is something that players tend to do to us
96.
quite a lot. I can't believe you said that about me. Well, I said he's got the look of a baddie in a Van Damme movie. And apparently he's getting pelters from
81.
his good pals about it. And they're saying he should be called the villain. It's not the worst nickname I've ever heard.
Yeah, I popped my head into the players' area just to wish them all the best.
58.
And he was very receptive, very chatty, very comfortable. Just demonstrating that bounce back ability that you need here at the Modus Super Series.
43.
I do wonder if he got some sort of insight or some pre-travel advice from his pal Tony O'Shea, who's played here many times, by the way. And he was part of the second
137.
9-dart shootout here in Portsmouth, involving eventual winner of the night, Chris Mason, and a certain Richie Howson, who's involved in Group C tomorrow.
59.
Yep, last time I was here, I was in commentating on a 9-dart as well. The tension was just... It was palpable. It was a real incredible moment, but not for the players.
98.
That decision made by Scott Taylor when he won the bull to go second. I'd either make the decision to go first or last. I don't think I've ever thought about in that situation to go second.
100. Tedrick Car 112.
We'll come back to that 9-dart shootout topic in the next leg, because I've just thought of something. 112 for Evetts. Best to look. His original thought was treble 18, double 19, but he didn't have to do that. That's why he risked that 60. That's worked out really well.
76.
Great thinking there from Ted.
Yeah, got there in the end, didn't he? Steve way back on 2 and 8. That issue of that lateral drift is coming back to haunt him in this leg.
Tedrick Car 36.
Almost just flung that last dart. That last dart went into trouble. Keep him involved in the leg.
Game shown the fourth.
But not for long. 2-2.
Yeah, 9-dart shootouts. If you think about the 4 that we've had, quite a lot of the participants are involved this week somehow. Richie Howson, Jimmy Van Schie, Darryl Pilgrim. Conan Whitehead was there the night that we had the very first one with Andy Hamilton, Lee Shewan, and Ryan Finesse, who ended up winning the thing.
I think my favourite throw in the world of darts was the player who lost out in that 9-dart shout at Kurt Parry.
Yeah, he's been involved in 2 now. He's the only person who has been.
He was unbelievable in that Group A campaign. And it's just a little reminder to the players this week. Just get through to Saturday night, because he dominated that group. But come Saturday, it's just a different vibe. The crowd, it feels like it's more of a knockout basis.
So if you were going to have a Group A with the best throws we've ever seen, Parry would be there.
Yeah.
Evetts would be there.
No, Ted wouldn't be. I wouldn't put Ted in the top 6.
Warburton?
Definitely. Bo Greaves.
60.
Yeah, Bo Greaves would be probably me number 2 behind Parry, actually. Good question now, Paul. You'll have to get me think. I'll get me thinking cap on.
Yeah, anybody who doesn't have Kurt Parry in that group,
60.
Have a word with yourself.
Yeah, Warburton's a great shout. Pilgrim. I do think Pilgrim, hence the reason he gets so many 180s. I think Darryl's next part is just maybe the mind rather than the technique.
Couldn't agree more.
There must be something just missing of why he's not doing more in the game.
He's got to ask himself that question. You only get the answer if you ask yourself the question first.
Yeah, we chatted about that earlier, and amen. Totally agree with that.
That is a world-class 140.
Steve Ricardo, 136.
Reynolds has got to be really good on the attack right here. He's had a 137. This is a little bit easier. Doesn't look that way right now, does it?
78.
But if Evetts takes out 257 and 6, it will change this game into his department. 57 needed.
93.
He's in position, and he's got to wait to see if he gets a chance.
No reaction there. But Reynolds is fighting. He's scrapping.
He's shown the 5th leg, Steve Reynolds.
Most important, he's winning now. This has gone from the sublime to the ridiculous for Steve. Look at that. That is really, really good to see. The pair of them had 4 darts at a double. But Steve has that 75%. We did say his doubling was outstanding in Group A. However, in that opening game with Steve West, we were asking ourselves the question when he went 1 from 8 on the doubles. This has been a super, super response.
He's already playing better at the start of this group than he did at the start of Group A. Because he lost his first 2 games on Monday by 4 legs to 0. So the fact that he's got legs in both games is a good thing.
137.
But when you're comparing Group B with Group A, it's roughly half the amount of games in this one. You can't afford a massively slow start.
This is a joy to behold. It really is for Steve. He must have gone back into that player's area. You begin to doubt yourself. And the last person he wanted to see on that Rocky in his game 2 was Ted Evetts. It's a good response. Another really good game.
$38.
No pressure, really.
90.
Evetts now has the luxury of going for the treble 18, I feel.
Timing supersedes power. It's effortless when Ted Evetts throws a dart. It feels like everything's a real struggle a moment for Steve when he's throwing his bad darts.
80.
But he's got an opportunity to win this match.
How much respect has he just paid to Reynolds by going the 20s route? Well, I'll tell you what. His heart may have stopped a little bit
87.
after that 60 was hit.
10.
It's still not over yet, though, Paul. As a dart play, 10's not great. Does he have the bottle to split it? Yeah, you can see the reaction there, and look what Steve Reynolds is on. This is a critical part of this match. Double 2 to stay in it, maybe?
6.
He knew it wasn't there the
Silver
moment it
power,
left his
56.
fingers. He's only missed one dart at a double in the whole match. He can afford to miss another one. But he doesn't miss another one.
Steve Reynolds.
Finishing gets him across the line, and he wins his second match of the group by 4 legs to 2. And he joins Evetts and West on points. And he has to be part of the conversation when he is finishing like that. It's not a surprise. He's been doing it most of the week. And with an 86.64 average, he finds his way to winning in 6 legs with an average inferior to his opponent by 7 points. Interesting stuff. Just like Pilgrim coming back to the hockey now to take on Rhian O'Sullivan. If you want a bit of that, stay with us.
And welcome back to the Modus Super Series, who just, once again, just let you know, as we talked about the fact that Ted Evetts was looking absolutely beautiful. It was amazing in his opening game against Steve Reynolds, who looked like a bag of nails in his first game. And guess what? It was Steve Reynolds who found something after that opening leg to Ted Evetts He put a terrific performance in the end, and a deserved winner with Ted Evetts just averaging 94. So a super win for Steve Reynolds, and he gets 2 points in this Group B campaign.
First leg, Darrell through first. Game on.
But it's two players searching for their first 2 points in this Group B. Not often you say that with this player, Darrell Pilgrim. But he did. He was up against Ted, who was brilliant with that 99 average. And Rhian O'Sullivan, who showed glimpses of what we expected from her.
45.
Plenty of people watching as well on our YouTube channel. Lots of questions to put to Paul Nicholson in this game. And a lot of it is around, well, first of all,
59.
Gemma Hayter. I'd put her throw in because she said if I don't, she's going to kick off with me. So hopefully you're happy now, Gemma.
You better do that then.
And secondly, who we think will win Lakeside and
64.
how you think Rhian will do. And you've just been having a look at the draw, Paul.
Yeah, I have. I've been looking at the Lakeside draw for Rhian. I think she's got the best section of the draw to make the semi-finals.
96.
And she is seeded number 3, so based on that, she is expected to make the last 4, which she's done before. She's made a couple of finals, of course. But she will play the winner of Lorena Rietbergen and Maud Jansen.
85.
So she doesn't even know who she's going to play first, which sometimes is a good thing. But in that corresponding section, you've got Aletta Vaya, you've got Paula Murphy of the United States and Paula Jacqueline. With all due respect to the ladies in that section, Rhian is the best player. So she should be making the quarters. But could meet Eileen de Graaf, Arena Armstrong, the number 7 seed. Maybe even Lisa Ashton, who is unseeded. Lots of possibilities a little bit further down the line. Pilgrim has the luxury of laying up.
Yeah, not the start that Rhian wanted us. We're chatting about her chances. It's an interesting
45,
way of
double
preparing
car,
for Lakeside
52.
coming to the Modus Super Series. Lots of match practice she's getting. But the group that she's in,
Getting shown in the first leg.
players doing what
Pilgrim.
Darrell Pilgrim's doing right now. You know, she's looking at effectively losing
Second
a
leg,
lot of
Rhian through
games
first. Game on.
in a week when she wants to be playing at her best. Or you can look at the other side. If she could get through this Group B, play Saturday night,
55.
the confidence that's going to give her as she goes over to Frimley Green.
She's going to be the only Welsh player in that draw.
60.
There have been other Welsh representatives in Lakeside Championships and Women's World Championships in the past, the likes of Rhian Griffiths
81.
and Julie Gore, the former World Master. I don't think earrings have looked better on a lady than Julie Gore. What a character.
Yeah, definitely.
58.
Yeah, so big thanks to everybody still watching on the YouTube channel and the question from Scooby-Doo. I've got a fascinating fact about Scooby-Doo.
Go for it.
41.
Did you know you can't watch... Oh, no, it's not Scooby-Doo, is it? You can't watch the... No, it's the wrong one. Wrong cartoon. I was about to say you can't watch the Flintstones in Dubai, but Abu Dhabi do.
180.
Abu Dhabi do. Oh, hey, I tell you what. If I'd have got me Scrappy-Doo and Flintstones, right, that could have been a belter.
95.
Put it in the bloopers.
Interesting approach here. I like it.
133.
I like it a lot because he's thinking 171 to leave 32. The 5 mark, as they
45.
say in
Double
cricket,
car,
right there. So
70.
that's actually a 7 mark, isn't it? I do beg your pardon. A 7 mark gives him 70. That's now 18 for tops. It's not that. If he hits 3 treble 4s, that'll be the first time that happens on the stage.
Also a
38.
demonstration there of the poor scoring from Rhian O'Sullivan. She should have got the 19s with the last start. It would have left the big fish.
41. Double car 32.
But as much as we've built up Rhian in this match, she is nowhere near to be seen right now. It's all easy work for Darrell Pilgrim at the moment. This for a 2-0 lead.
No score.
Wow.
Rhian, your car,
He was throwing that
143.
from Hailing Island.
Well, Rhian O'Sullivan, without being too distant, has done nothing in this match so far. And I thought
45.
that finish
Double
there
car 32.
would have got her going.
Game shot on the second leg.
Pilgrim
Donald
deadly. And now 2-0 up. Looking to bounce back after that
Third
loss
leg Donald through
to
first.
Evetts by
Game
4
on.
legs to 3 in game number 2. And we have seen people score 180s tonight. The most maximums by any player, apart from
140.
Pilgrim in a match tonight, 1. Darryl had 5 and lost. If you think that's impressive,
100.
on 2 occasions in Modus Super Series history, we've seen 6 hit when someone has been defeated. And one of them was Rhys Robinson
177.
against your own make. The other one was Darryl Pilgrim against a certain Scott Taylor when he averaged 118.88,
64.
had 6 maximums and lost the game.
6 maximums in a best of 7. That's... Yeah, I thought 5 was the highest, but when he gets that first dart like that, you'd expect the others to follow.
140.
And it's always a good sign. He's averaging 100 at the moment, even when you don't think he's at his best.
140.
Best 3 darts in this
Double
match for
car
Rhian.
44.
But it's all about Pilgrim right now, and this for an 11 darter. It's double 16.
Game shot on the third
Absolutely
leg,
stunning.
Pilgrim.
Well, considering it is
Fourth leg,
Thanksgiving,
Rhian through first.
I suppose a
Game on.
Pilgrim should win.
And just your final question
85.
here. So big thanks to everybody. Final question for you, Paul. Who wins Lakeside, men's and women's?
Boys and girls, of course. I think
58.
the draw in the girls' event and the boys' event are just as intriguing. Start with the girls.
135.
I'm going to go with Paige Pauling,
Yeah, good
number
shout.
1 seed. I fancy she'll be playing Sophie McKinley in the final. But sneakily, I'd love to see Aurora Fochasato have a stint at it.
100.
In the boys' event, after his heartbreak in this series, I'd like to see Jensen Walker win, the number 1 seed. He was so
41.
close to making Saturday. Had it wrenched away from him. And I think he might be up against Ralphs Laumanis in the final. He's really good from Latvia.
Yeah, he is.
Ladies' event, I can't go against Bo
100.
Greaves. If I do, I'm just silly. As for the men's event, that is a whole different discussion, isn't it?
41.
Jimmy Van Schie, and I'm completely biased.
Do you know, I agree with absolutely everything you've said there until the men's. I'm going to go for Matthew Edgar. Matthew Edgar. Hey, my jokes are
97.
rolling off the tongue today.
I'll say one thing. If Jimmy doesn't win it, I think Neil Duff might.
It's about
83.
time Gary Stone
Donald
did
Car,
something.
146.
But for this game, it's been really straightforward for Darryl Pilgrim. He's not going to check out in the 146, but a treble leaves it handy. Gets
99. Rhian, your car, 116.
Rhian's got to get to the double, and she won't do it. This could be damaging.
78.
Good recovery.
Donald Car, 47.
But Pilgrim has been leaving double 16 in this match. He leaves it again and
Game
wins
shot in
with
the
it.
match, Donald Pilgrim.
The ideal bounce back for the man who supports Crystal Palace and wears their colours all over the place. Mr. P is Mr. W once again. And after a stutter in Game 2, Game 5 belongs to him. He bossed it with a 95 plus average. His doubles were very polished. Only the 1 maximum this time, Darryl. Might want to get your finger out next time. Only joking. But we won't see him again till Game 7 when he plays Reynolds. As for next, it will be West in his 3rd game against Evetts. Welcome back to the Modus Super Series. You can see that games have been won, games have been lost, and we are at the halfway point. Steve West has found his way to 2 wins. He's got 4 points, and he's the only person on 4 points. But Reynolds, Evetts, and Pilgrim have all picked up a win. It's only Rhian O'Sullivan of Wales who has failed to pick up a win so far, but she's still got games against Evetts and Reynolds to come. There you can see confirmation of West at the top, somewhere he is very used to being, but now it's his responsibility to try and stay there over the next 2 games that he plays. Pilgrim has recovered after losing his first game tonight. Back on the clock is the man from Crystal Palace country in South Croydon, but he's got chasers in Evetts and Reynolds on the same points as him. When it comes to Champions Week next week, though, we have got a lot on the menu for you. You've got the likes of Sykes and Labanauskas and Harrison coming back, and Taylor coming back for a second series title, just like Harrison. Romeo Gerbavats, who's going to the Worlds for the first time at Alexandra Palace. He will be hard to stop. But, as you can see, people's positions are not nailed down yet. If you are Jim Long or Andy Hamilton, you're still waiting to see where you will play. Derek Coulson is in as the provisional best runner-up because John Henderson is not able to play next week. And there's still one more spot to grab. And it's just a question of who's going to get it. And we'll find out in less than 48 hours' time. Exciting times ahead. It's only 4 days, nearly 3, away from Champions Week. And that clock is ticking to see if someone can get into that final Modus Super Series group for the year. Never mind the series.
Yeah, I think the nervous player on all there would be Derek Coulson. Because when you are that first reserve, I mean, no one wanted John Henderson not to be here. But it's an opportunity for the best runner-up. And that's sat with Derek Coulson, who's had some really, really good results this week. But didn't that group there look stacked as well? It was nice to see Darius as part of that as well. He was our week 1 winner.
First leg, Steve to throw first. Game on.
But real big potential winners there as well. Tom Sykes keeps looking at me all the time.
Now, one thing he did in this series is that he didn't play his best starts during the week, but boy, oh boy, did he turn up on Saturday. And that's what you got to do. Same in Champions Week. Just got to get to the final day, then turn it on. Van Velsen did it. Scott Taylor's
100.
done it. We know that Harrison did it. He didn't even get into Group B when it came to Champions Week in Series 7.
95.
He went into C, then he turned up, and he didn't look back.
Well, Ted Evetts certainly turned up in his first game of the night. He beat Darryl Pilgrim in a real cracker of a game. And
22.
I think Ted had gone back there, and that was a game which was 50-50 in his mind. He'll have fully expected to win Game 2 after that. But Modus Super Series
140.
has that habit of creating its own stories and own conclusions, and Steve Reynolds from absolutely nowhere just found his mojo. He found his form to take a surprising win over Ted Evetts. So Ted's back in that
97.
position where I think if he looked at the programme today, after 2 games, he pretty much would feel he'll have been on win 1, loss 1.
59.
Which makes this game huge for him.
Yeah, it really does. The last thing you want to do is give Steve West a lead. And he's created a lead for himself in both games he's played tonight.
98.
He did stutter
Stephen
towards
Carl,
the end against
126.
Reynolds. And he did a tiny bit against O'Sullivan. But he got the job done both times.
86.
Yeah, cracker of a last start there for Steve West. I think it's a word we haven't used today. We talk about people's strengths, weaknesses, skill set. And one word that's undervalued in this is experience.
Stephen Carl, 40.
And Steve West, we talked about, he's coming up to 50. He's played on the biggest stages of them all.
30.
However,
Fedor Carl, 128.
another twist.
18's first, obviously. And another. 1 is not sufficient.
88. Steve Car 10.
West has already missed 2 doubles. He doesn't miss a third.
Steve West.
And yet again, he starts again by winning the first leg of the contest.
Ted to first. Game on.
There you can see that free-flowing third dart once again from Super Ted. It is obviously something he's working on. But this is something he's been working on for a period of 9 years.
140.
And he's still only 27. That's how long he's been around.
Yeah, sorry to harp on about it, but I do think it's maybe the Damon Hector factor. I really do. They were so close, sat with each other.
100.
Real student of the game is Ted. And I think it's something to persevere with. I like it.
Out of all of the players that are still playing on a full-time basis,
125.
who do you think is the player that's got the biggest darts IQ when it comes to who's won what and who's represented who and things like that?
97.
Because if you were going to go head-to-head with Mark Webster, just be prepared to lose.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
He's got a memory like you would not believe. So don't have a darts quiz with Mark Webster.
125.
But of people who are playing at the minute, who's that person who is the biggest student?
Good question. If you'd have just gone articulate and who has the best IQ, I think I'd say Ryan Joyce. That might surprise a lot of
97.
people.
Steve Car 111.
He's sneaky smart. He's someone who doesn't tell people obviously, I think. That was an interesting play, isn't it? 111 and
55.
51
Steve
first.
Car 107.
I can see the thought behind it, but if you get the 51, you're going to have a single 20 in the way.
Yeah, I'm still trying to think of that. Who is the stato of the
75.
PDC?
Steve Car 56.
West looking at tops again. This time,
Make sure on the second
not
leg,
a
Steve
problem.
West.
It doesn't seem that long ago we were talking about Ted
Felix
as being a
Steve
real
is in
potential
first.
winner this
Game on.
week, never mind this group. And it's all pretty much gone wrong for Ted in the past hour. That loss to Steve Reynolds and quickly 2-0 down to a rampant Steve West, you have to say.
100.
He's got the points on the board. You know, it's almost job done if he can get to 6 points. If he can get 8. And Steve West will only have one more game today.
I'm trying to rack my brains as to certain things
43.
people have never done in a Modus Super Series match. And the one thing that will probably never happen in a best of 7 match
60.
is something called a perfect compass, which is where somebody wins 4 legs with a tops, a double 6, a double 11, and a double 3. So you've got north, south, east, and west. If that was to happen at some point,
140.
it would be so miraculous. You can see tops being hit. You can see 6s being hit. But to have 11s and 3s as well,
83.
that would be borderline strange. But West, who is, I suppose, technically on a dartboard double 11, he's won games by hitting double top every time, multiple times.
44.
But even he would have to go some to beat a certain Keelan Kay, who has won a game by hitting 5 double tops in a 4-0 victory.
100.
That was something else. And he finished the game with 2 double tops in the last shot.
Needs a treble 20. He'd have gone for the bullseye if that treble 20 had gone in. So there was method in his madness there. But Ted is just not
59.
finding
Steve
those
Car
trebles.
158.
He's not really finding anything right now. And Steve West is walking to players who are just making it so easy for him.
We have seen a 158 this week from Conan Whitehead,
48.
and it was hit the best way possible. 54 bull. It was brilliant. What Steve has left is the equivalent of 60 bull.
58.
He's not really under that much pressure to take this out. He might even have 6 from here for 3-0.
$54. Schedule car 157.
Well, it does leave a 2 dart. We should expect Steve to check out on that. So for Ted, he'll start downstairs on the 157.
He doesn't like the lie.
He just doesn't like anything about this game right now.
93. Steve car 56.
There's not that much between them average-wise, but West is getting all of the better positions. He's taking full advantage of them. His doubles have been good enough. 3 hits from 7, and Ted hasn't had a shot at a double yet. And there's only 3 points between them in the averages.
Steve West is having one of his most comfortable nights I've seen from him at the Modus Super Series, and he's averaged 82,
100.
85, and he's currently averaging 83. No one's turning up against him so far.
45.
Not that Steve will care a jot. I think for Steve, though, Paul, he'll want to post 100 average, whether it's his final game, if he gets over the line with Ted, whether it's tomorrow. Even if he goes 8 out of 8 and he's winning because his other players aren't playing well against him.
140.
I think he'll want to remind himself what he can do.
Yeah, he's definitely got a few little mini goals left to accomplish here.
60.
108.5 is his personal best in a game. And his biggest finish is 164. So he's never had a 170 checkout here with all the games he's played.
91.
Did you say 170? However, this time it's for Ted Evetts and not for Steve West.
Well, that would better Ted's personal best finish of 167.
140. Ted car 170.
Just wants to get into 2 dart range.
58.
Can't do it. So a 140 here from West. He'll be tapping him on the shoulder. And there it is.
140. Ted car 112.
He's been here before with this 1-1-2 today. Ted was in different circumstances when he went for it. He was comfortable. He could play with this finish. It's getting to a stage now where something has to happen for
60.
Ted.
Steve car 116.
Steve West will fancy his chances here. He hasn't been at his blistering best, but he's got a dart at tops to win it. Simply the West. That's what Steve West is all about. He hasn't been great today. He saved his best 3 darts for that finish against Ted Evetts there, who runs off the stage. He'll be absolutely furious with that performance there. Steve West picked up his average just at the back end of that one, but it's been a pretty straightforward night for Steve West. 4-0 victory there, 3 wins out of 3. Steve West is looking really good for a place on Saturday night. Darryl Pilgrim, follow that. He's up next against Steve Reynolds.
Welcome back, and if you like your matches short and sweet, well, you've enjoyed the last couple because they've both been won by 4-0. Pilgrim got one of them against Rhian O'Sullivan with a very impressive mid-90s average and 4 out of 7 on his doubles, but now he might face a different type of test against someone who he has faced 3 times this week, but he has beaten Reynolds 3 times this week already. And this was the big thing, wasn't it, for Steve on Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday.
Steve to throw first. Game on.
He couldn't beat the players above him in the table, and Darrell was one of those players. If he's going to qualify for Saturday night on debut, maybe picking up a win against Pilgrim over the next couple of nights might be
45.
critical for him to do that.
Do you know, when I played a player like Darrell Pilgrim and stood behind you, when they make the game like Adrian Lewis, they just make the game look ridiculously easy, and every dart's an effort. I sense that with this game here. I think Steve should really just focus on what he's doing.
55.
Because his throw is unconventional, it's different, it looks hard work, and he'll stand behind this man who will be pinging in 180s for fun. I mean, he's already hit one with his first 3 darts.
57.
Because that's what Darrell Pilgrim does. So my advice for Steve, from a player who had his own mechanical throw, is just focus on your own job.
The next maximum that Darrell hits will be his 30th of the week. I know that he's going to play more games leading up to a potential Saturday than Jimmy Van Schie or anybody else, potentially. But he's scoring more maximums than anybody this week. Yeah. It's not always a key to success, though, because we've seen tonight he's hit 5 and lost in a match.
But it's a great basis. I'm just racking my brains, Paul. I mean, you're wonderful on your stats, but I remember a Group B campaign from Scott Walters. And I think it was something like 17 or 18 180s he hit that night.
Yeah, that's right. He's another one who's going to be at Lakeside.
134.
He's done some miles over the last 12 months.
That's if they can get in, because social media's going mad from the players. They can't get into the venue because the road works. Do you know, everything's wrong about Lakeside this day, but let me tell you, those players will have an absolute ball on debut. Darrell Pilgrim's the type of player who should maybe be at Lakeside. What a danger he would be. free flowing.
Second leg Darrell to through first. Game on.
Just beginning to put the afterburners on right now.
Doesn't do the tournaments, does he? He's not a WDF guy. He's someone who plays a lot of local stuff in
96.
Surrey and in London. And then he focuses more on the PDC side of things and the Modus Super Series. He's pitched his tent in those promotions over the last 3 or 4 years. He's had success. But if we are being brutally honest, one challenge to a victory for him to this point is not enough for someone of his talent.
And that's a compliment, Darrell, if you're watching this back. Not a criticism.
Correct. 3 finals this year, so he has been close.
$123.
Yeah, when I dropped off the tour, Paul, I would love to have fancied to do a chance, but they're pretty brutal, aren't they? 2 competitions a day. You go out first round.
137.
You sat around for about 5 hours before you play the next one. So to be winning them and dominating like the Connor Scuts of this world takes some doing.
100.
Yeah, it's a very different discipline because it's knockout, but can still be a marathon day. Imagine the people who have won twice in a day, like Andy Bolton and Scott Williams. My word. That's a lot of games of darts in a day.
Yeah, the only parallel I can give is the Welsh Open, where you play your first game at 9 a.m. and you play the final at 11 p.m.
95.
That was a real war of attrition. We've had a couple of games go 4-0 prior to this one. 56 points away, double 18 from leading this match 2-0.
Pilgrim.
Super stuff from Darrell Pilgrim.
Third leg Steve to throw first.
He's got the right amount of syllables in his name. His chant might as well be Super Darrell Pilgrim.
$41.
Yeah, one of those players like a lot of the Asian players will do. We've seen it a couple of times with people releasing the tension and anxiety out the arm as well. But just behind Steve as he's throwing, he'll often do the ghost
41.
throw. Will Darrell?
Well, I'm not going to be speaking to him over the next couple of days because Crystal Palace are playing Newcastle. So that's what's happening. I'll just leave him to do what he needs to do in the practice room. And then I'll speak to him again when it's all over.
Well, I'm
85.
a Notts Forest fan this week. I'm doing really well in a competition called Last Man Standing. Down to only 3 or 4 of us left. So up the Forest.
58.
The Pilgrim's really rebounded well this evening. And at times this week, he has been tested between the ears because when he lost
45.
his first match of Group A to Jimmy Van Schie, he would lose to Conan Whitehead as well. And that stutter on Tuesday afternoon is why he did not win
92.
Group A for me. It came down to game 9 on Wednesday, and he was the one who was chasing at that point. And Jimmy Van Schie was never going to be stopped. But just because he was 6 points behind Jimmy in the end, it will go down as a statistic. He could make people forget about that if he was to pick up a 4th weekly title here this week. And that is an elite group of people. That's not even a handful of people who've got 4.
He's almost getting synonymous to his career being at the Modus Super Series.
130.
It's on the basis of that incredible 180 hitting. Will he back it up with a big finish? It's bullseye.
105.
Super close. And now Reynolds has a crack at it himself.
I was about to say, Paul, can you think of a bullseye finish today? We've had pretty much everything on this type of finish. Prove me wrong, Steve.
82.
He's further away.
Car 25.
And in spots like this, you just can't do that.
9.
Oh, apparently he can.
Steve Yucar, 48.
Yeah, didn't expect that, Paul. You'd have to say the strength of Reynolds has been the finishing.
Getting shown the third leg,
As
Steve
shown in
Reynolds.
diagram B.
He really is a great finisher.
Fourth leg, Harold,
I know the first game
Game on.
tonight didn't go his way, but he's taken a bit of time to get used to playing after 10 o'clock. But after a 4 out of 6 performance
60.
against Ted Evetts in game 4, and he's 1 out of 2 in this match, his efficiency week long has been just so noticeable.
Yeah, it's getting to the stage where it's not a
121.
coincidence. It's clearly a big strength of his game. We try to do interviews with the players before, get to know people, the journey that they're on. That is just, it's remarkable. It really is. Another 3. Remember that opening 5 he had in his first match? Just the 1 in victory. And now 3 in this one. It's a
60.
wonderful part of the arsenal to have. That heavy artillery that you know that you've got in your hand.
He's had 9 tonight. This is not even the end of game 3. So if he gets another one in this
82.
game, he's going to be averaging more than 3 per match tonight. That doesn't happen. Just put that into some sort of
125.
perspective. Apart from the fact that this is where you don't want to get a maximum. If you were to have that kind of average in Group A, you'd be talking about more than 45 180s in 3 days.
59.
Just noting his patting his brow there, Paul. Did you ever suffer sweat or? That was okay. I didn't mind a really hot venue.
Played at some hot venues in Australia. Places like Ballarat, Punchbowl.
140. Daniel Carr, 120.
All over the southeast, it was very, very hot. I'd rather be hot than cold.
Yeah.
Top of the shop?
100.
Denied.
Steve Carr, 55.
Well, we know what happens next because we've been talking how good Steve's finishing's been.
Well, it's going to be 2-2, so let's move on to leg 5.
Surely not the commentator's curse.
45.
There you
Sorry,
go.
Steve.
That's
Daniel
all my
Carr,
fault.
20.
Sorry, Steve. But I really didn't think he was going to miss that.
Game shown in fourth leg. Daniel
I'm just going to
Pilgrim.
keep my mouth shut now that Pilgrim is 3-1 up.
Yeah, beautiful
Fifth leg,
dart, that
Steve to
double
third
5.
first. Game on.
Yes, we were chatting earlier, Paul. I've got December the
48.
18th off when I'm down at Alexander Palace, and I'd like to go and get a nice meal in London. Not Michelin star, nothing. Quite like a street food, a Korean maybe, or somewhere, anywhere you'd recommend in London. Oh, by the way, another 180 there for Darryl Pilgrim.
Yeah, it's just another 180. It's just the norm. Now he's got 4.
He's me talking about Korean street food here. And Darryl Pilgrim will probably hit a 9, and this will be pinned forever.
121.
Depends what kind of food you want. Oh, come on, Darryl. All right, there we go. 4 perfect darts.
125.
And 5 out of 6 will do. If you can get into it, if you like Japanese food, Rocker.
Heard of it.
Brilliant.
140.
6 darts and 196. And who's to say? I was going to say who's to say he's not going to get another 180 there, but just proves he is human.
85.
A beautiful last dart just keeps him. Favourite for what he hopes will be the final leg. Seeing good stuff from Steve Reynolds right now. And often at the back end of his matches,
140.
he needs to find a way of
Darryl
starting
111.
his matches just a little bit quicker. But this for the match.
And for a 4th straight victory against Reynolds.
79. Steve Car 52.
Say nothing, Paul. Say nothing.
Game shot on the fifth leg, Steve Reynolds.
Can I speak now?
Isn't it
Six
interesting?
leg down,
People have their own
reverse, game
unique
on.
way of celebrating, and each time a double goes in, it's almost Simon Adams-like.
131.
Yeah, I think there's only one person in the world who can get away with the old looking at the palms. You got Johnny Clayton, who likes to point at the camera. How he hasn't been sponsored by a watch company yet, I've got no
60.
idea. Because every time he hits a key 1-2-1 or a maximum, he points his watch to the camera.
Yeah, there was a moment, wasn't there, with Simon Adams and Thomas Banks. I think Thomas had just
96.
won the week, and there was just a hug between them. And that hug was 5 days of them spending time with each other, getting to know each other. You know, there was an age difference between the pair of them, but darts has that unique way of just bringing people together.
95.
It was one of those real special moments.
Yeah, just a matter of 40 years between them. That's darts, though. You've got Paul Lim playing at Lakeside
140.
in the next few days.
That's remarkable, isn't it? I think there's really some good crowds as well this weekend at Lakeside.
Tell you what, Glenn, if you want to find some food, just follow Paul.
140.
He knows everywhere to
Double
eat
car,
in
134.
the world.
He's probably lived there at some point.
Correct. I love that route for 134. It's so neglected.
56.
Well, at 78, he'd expect to get it. But if I was the opponent, just thinking if I can put a lot of pressure on it, he may only get one dart or a double for it. But if there's one element of the game for Steve where he is behind, it is his score, and he's having to come from behind an awful lot.
60.
And that's not enough.
Double car 78.
Well, I'm going to petition for a 78 checkout to be called the Leighton Rees, because it was in 78 that he won the very first World Championship.
Game shot on
And
the match,
78 gives
Pilgrim.
Darryl Pilgrim a 4-2 victory, which solidifies at this stage, with one game to go, second position. Reynolds will stay in third with his solitary win, but the leg difference, chasm between the top two, it's starting to widen as Pilgrim has back-to-back mid to high 90s averages, and he'll be very pleased he's got himself another 2 points, getting closer to Saturday once again. Evetts needs to recover in his last match of the night. He's got Rhian O'Sullivan next.
And welcome back to the Modus Super Series, where it's all beginning to go right for Daryl Pilgrim. He had that disappointing start, losing his first game of the night to Ted Evetts. And it's roles reversal since then, because Ted Evetts has then gone on to lose his next 2 games. A disappointing loss to Steve Reynolds was the catalyst before a miserable loss to Steve West, who pretty dominated that game without being anywhere near his best. But, and it's a big but, he has the opportunity here to go through this game, get 4 points, get away, come back and fight for another day. Because Rhian O'Sullivan has at times looked and produced the darts like we thought she might play. But she's been a dart
First leg, Ted to through first. Game on.
She's been a dart behind the 2 players in her 2 previous games. So once again, Ted Evetts goes into this match as a big favourite. Are we going to see the best from Rhian O'Sullivan tonight, Paul?
100.
I do wonder that. She does have Evetts and Reynolds to play. If she stands a chance
60.
of getting through this group and into Saturday in the Modus Super Series format, she's going to need to win one of these games, I feel.
100.
But which one is more winnable, I guess? Maybe the Reynolds game? Or is it Evetts because he's just lost his last 2 matches? It's a bit of a coin flip.
41.
Yeah, the focus is on this game, but the next game is mouth-watering. Don't miss that one. Daryl Pilgrim against Steve West. And what makes that game interesting, yes, it's a top-of-the-table clash, but also that'll be their first game tomorrow. So that real head-to-head scenario comes into it.
41.
The dynamic of that penultimate match is dependent on what happens in this one. Because if Rhian is to win, that would be 3 players on 2 points. And even if Pilgrim beats West,
100.
there will be a 4-point cushion with 1 game to go. Everything so far is working for Pilgrim and West. Just going to try and keep things simple here. Straight down the line.
80.
And he will be back for 10s.
Yeah, I like that analogy, and I think that's really important. It sounds simple. Just keep it nice and simple, and I think that's all Ted needs to do
20.
to get through this game. Don't make it too complicated. He's put himself in a good position. Execute the double 10.
Getting sure the first leg,
Job
Ted
done.
Evetts.
Good start from Evetts.
Second leg, Rhian to through first. Game on.
It's a very strong word, execute. And it does have rather sinister connotations when you think about
41.
how it's usually used. But it is a word used by special forces to enforce part of a plan. And it's a word that we use in darts in a positive sense.
139.
The excellence of execution.
Brett the Hitman Hart.
81.
Yeah, last time I was in Portsmouth, I think I watched the documentary of Vince McMahon.
Oh, yeah.
And was that infamous match, wasn't it, in Canada?
Yeah, the
134.
1997 screw job, as it's called.
That's the one.
Yeah, a lot of people
26.
who are part-time wrestling fans won't know that after that match in Montreal, Brett the Hitman Hart actually went to Vince's locker room and gave him a 5-knuckle shuffle.
Yeah. Didn't even give him chance to explain what happened.
140.
There's no chance to explain anything at the moment because Ted Evetts is running away with this one. Rhian
55.
O'Sullivan is
Ted
having a
Evetts,
very,
88.
very disappointing night. And when you look at preparation for Lakeside, right now, Paul, this is not ideal.
This is ideal for Ted.
56. $100. Ted Rukar,
Double 16
32.
to double the lead. Has a nice ring to it.
Getting shot on the second leg,
A
Ted
13
Evetts.
darter as well is something he likes.
Third leg, Ted to through first. Game on.
Yeah, when you think of Fallon up there playing against the likes of the guys and, Bo, Lisa, they're used to it. I'm just thinking, I'm just trying to come up with a reason why
57.
Rihanna's playing like she is right now. I assume she plays local league where she may come across male players.
81.
But there's just something not right about her game tonight. And I don't think it's down to quality, because I think she's in top nick going into Lakeside and she's had a fairly good season on the women's series. But tonight's just not gone to plan.
180.
First 180 for Ted, maintaining an average of in excess of 106.
100.
And I think you might be onto something here, Glenn, because if you think about where Rhian plays, predominantly it is just against ladies. WDF, Women's Series, Women's Week here.
140.
She doesn't play Challenge Tour. That's not her bag.
45.
So this is different.
24.
And it's proving so far to be very difficult against a rampant Ted Evetts, who's on 88. Wow.
On the third leg,
What a
Ted
burst. This is not far from personal best territory for Ted. Seriously impressive stuff. If you want to be impressed, Evetts has got a personal
24.
best on this stage of 111.33. If he wants to get that beaten, he's going to need a 13 or a 12 darter. And it's not out of his range because he's just had 2 legs like that.
I think when he evaluates the night, I think he'll look back at that missed opportunity against Steve Reynolds.
60.
A wonderful win in his opening game against Daryl Pilgrim. And it's been a beautiful performance so far against Rhian O'Sullivan. So I think he'd be fairly happy. 4 points, he's in the mix. But I just think there'll be something
140.
niggling in the back. But I think Ted's strong enough mentally to brush that and come back tomorrow. And I think the good news for him,
36.
Paul, is the fact that he's got Rhian as his first game tomorrow.
Yeah, and he's got the later start as well. So he can see exactly where he stands going into his first game. And then
94.
he will finish up against Pilgrim in game 9 in the early hours of Saturday morning. At that point, he will know either
45.
if he's through, if he's out, or if he still needs to do something.
Yeah, another reason maybe for Rhian. I mean, when was the last time she played darts at 12:30? Early hours in the morning now. I'm just trying to come up with reasons why Rhian hasn't turned up tonight.
That's another great point because
25. Tedrick 20.
where else would she play this late? Evetts is used to this. He's been in Group B's before. And he's on the cusp of victory.
It's been super, super Ted, that's for sure. And this for a 4-0 win. And to finish on 4 points.
14.
May even have the luxury of splitting double 7. But does anybody split 7s? This is not blackjack, this is darts.
Well, he likes a double 16. It's the bed next door. Well, he gets there in the end. A routine 4-0 victory. A disappointing display from Rhian O'Sullivan. She just hasn't been herself tonight. She will be back for one final game against Steve Reynolds. That'll be the final game for Ted Evetts. 4 points, 2 good victories. He was averaging well over 100 and finished with 101.90 in that one. So Ted Evetts finishes for the night on 4 points. He'll be back tomorrow. Big game coming up next. It's a blockbuster. It's top of the table clash. It's Pilgrim against Steve West.
Welcome to the penultimate game of the double session on Thursday and into the Friday early hours. And it's a rather good one. So stick around. Get yourself a nighttime beverage if you're in the vicinity of the United Kingdom. If you're around the world, enjoy your breakfast. Enjoy your dinner. Enjoy your Thanksgiving if you're in North America. Because this game is very much roast turkey worthy. 3 words I didn't expect to be saying, but there you go. But we want more 180s, don't we, Daryl? And Steve West wants a 4th victory this evening.
Through first. Game on.
This is a great fixture when it comes to the Modus Super Series. It's one of the great fixtures because between them, they've got 8 weekly titles.
58.
Astonishing.
Yeah, what a stat that is. And I think for Steve West, yes, 3 wins out of 3, but average round about the mid-80s. I think he'll really not only want to win this game, because then, you know, he's almost given himself qualification. One nice win early doors tomorrow.
140.
For Daryl Pilgrim, he had that disappointing start, but could finish with real aplomb with victory over Steve West, because this could be the final come Saturday night.
81.
These are 2 of the heavy hitters at the Modus Super Series, as Paul's just alluded to. So it was the game that stood out on the sheet. And when we saw the list of players today, the matches,
93.
a rapid pace again.
Miraculously, Steve has only hit 3 maximums tonight. Pilgrim's hit 10.
56.
Double figures in a night in Group B is elite. Here we go again.
138.
Thanks for letting us down, Daryl, but you did the right thing, so we can't complain too much. And West has started
58.
every game well tonight by winning the first leg.
72.
Yeah. A classic front runner, isn't he? It's just going to be the one dart or a double. That's all he needs, because when he's in the mood, Paul, he looks $1 million, doesn't he?
Second leg, Steve.
A real bounce in his step, as we noticed there. Same process, just a little dust to the forehead, a little look around.
96.
It wouldn't surprise me if he starts this leg with a maximum.
They've got a lot in common, these two. Playing on different sides of the capital of England. West is from the north.
134.
Daryl is playing in the south. They've been playing here similar time frames.
140.
West came here in early 2023. Pilgrim has been here since the Southampton days. But they've both got 9 darters on the stage. West has got
134.
more than one. They've both got weekly titles, but neither
171.
have a series title.
It might not be too far away. But then again, the competition's getting stronger and stronger at the same time.
Absolutely right.
New names, new
87.
countries,
Steve Car 94.
new winners. But Steve West, down to a finish, not guaranteeing himself a dart or a double by going that aggressive route on the 94.
70.
A beautiful last dart. The
Double
Rise
car
smiles there.
146.
But this is a free hit for Pilgrim.
$96. Steve Car 24.
Plan A, double 12.
Getting shown on the second
Plan
leg,
A
Steve West.
executed.
Well, he's seen the funny side of it, but the reality of it is
Phil
that when he
McDonald
leaves
is doing
double
first.
12, he
Game
hits
on.
it. It's a great feeling to have when you've got that go-to double, which just seems to be hit every time you go for it.
100.
In footballing terms, this is Tottenham versus Crystal Palace. So it's like a London derby.
I tell you what, in darting
85.
times, it's quality versus quality because both are averaging before 3 darts, 105 early in this game. And rising.
If we're being honest, we've probably got 2
135.
of the 3 best players to have played here who have never won a series. The other one is Duff,
97.
because Whitehead has won a series, Harrison's won a series, Taylor has won a series, but Duff, with 4 weekly titles
99.
and a specials week, because he won double trouble 1, Pilgrim with 3, West with 5. I'm not even sure that's up for
87.
debate.
Double car 167.
Yeah, you don't be called that Neely man. They want to be a champion. And I tell you what, Darryl Pilgrim is producing darts right now like a
131.
champion. His average currently is 109.
I wouldn't be surprised if we get a
140,
ton plus
double
average from
36.
Darryl. We've just had one from Ted Evetts, 101.9. That'll
Finish
do.
on the third leg,
14
Darryl
data, maintains a very high standard of play. And West, for the first time
Fourth leg
tonight
sees
in
the
the
third
early
first, game
stages,
on.
is in trouble. He's actually playing his best statistical darts and losing.
135.
Never seen anybody so disappointed with a 135. That's how good these players are.
I often talk about the way we put the averages up on
100.
the screen there. In the professional TV tournaments, you can see players actually looking at the big screen at their averages, and then sometimes getting a response. It can be a real
100.
motivational lift. But here at the Modus Super Series, yes, you can see the TV screen behind there, but they don't see the averages. But they'll probably feel that they know they're
57.
producing the goods here.
I think sometimes when you have your best performances, you can feel how good it is. But every now and
96.
again, for instance, when Luke Littler was playing at the recent PCF or at the Grand Slam, and he was communicated to by a reporter, and they said, "Oh, you've just averaged 104."
59. Steve car
And he said-
170.
"Oh, it didn't feel that good. This looks good."
105.
Yeah, when you're chasing the averages and you're almost adding them up in your mind, it's a good feeling when you get told you've averaged 104 and you feel like
96.
it was only
Steve
a B
Car,
game, but that's where
65.
Littler's tournament plays right now. For West, he's looking at
Being shown the
2-2
fourth
and no
leg,
problems
Steve West.
whatsoever. Good game, classy game.
He responds with a
Steve Car
14 of his
first,
own.
game on.
And he was on for his first ever 170 checkout in Portsmouth there, Westy. Still yet to get one. Pilgrim's got one.
97.
I'm just trying to motivate him here with little bits and bobs. Daryl's got something that you haven't got, Steve. Yeah, but you've got more weekly titles than him.
85.
It is a bit of a trade-off.
$95.
Just like I say, just gone a little quiet as Daryl Pilgrim. 100 points ahead with that treble 20 with the last start.
45.
This is the first game of the night where Daryl has not had a max.
I was going to say till now, but he's going to go downstairs, isn't he, on 309?
93.
I like the idea from West there. He was looking for 171.
43.
And then he would have gone up top for the 180 to leave double 10. So he was actually 7 darts away from winning that leg in his own mind.
It's like a snooker player, isn't it? Looking 2 or 3
100.
shots ahead. Well, Daryl Pilgrim is well ahead and looking good. On throw to go 1 away.
$83. Car 116.
He's not going to get another 14 darter, but he'll take a 15. How does he get past that?
Play safe. Just go justice. Yeah, that's the worry when you get aggressive. The simple fact a score
42.
of 60 at least would have left a 2 darter. And if you're just almost floating that dart over the first one. And I tell you what, you brought Steve West into the equation again. Well.
Car 74.
Hasn't he just? He was tapping his forehead from that 116. If he doesn't fix it, tops.
34.
And he hasn't fixed it.
Car 65.
So West can pounce. Here we go. 90 degrees.
53.
He gets the angle right,
Car
but not the
40.
line.
Yeah, I think we both fancied that there. A reprieve for Pilgrim. Made a bit of a hash with a 116 setup play.
No score.
Oh,
Car
my.
12.
Oh, you saw him just sink. Saw the shoulders. This can't be happening.
That was a bit harsh.
Game shot on the 5th leg, Steve West.
And that'll be painful for Pilgrim. My word, that'll be a bitter pill to swallow.
6th leg, Steve to throw first. Game on.
And look at that sinister smile from Steve. Sometimes you've got to be a little bit evil and deny your opponent, especially
44.
on the 3rd dart. He's 1 leg away from 4 straight wins this evening. What an ideal start to Group B that would be.
Yeah, he almost apologetic to Daryl Pilgrim as he
74.
walked up to him. But no eye contact and the turn round, that sinister smile. Like Dick Dastardly.
Like Monty Burns.
60.
Because tonight could be excellent.
$97.
That's a good last start there from Daryl.
He's fighting, isn't he? But those trebles were coming so easy. But that's, look, they've been in the venue
135.
since round about 8 o'clock tonight. There's got to be a period of time when fatigue kicks in, but he's not the same player right now as he was maybe an hour, 2 hours ago.
60.
So you've got to be adaptable. You've got to be versatile.
What is that? He's saying to himself right now. And the next two are getting the angry treatment.
41.
And the reality is, if Pilgrim can win this leg, he becomes a favourite for the last leg decider because he has the darts.
140.
He might not need a maximum in this game after all.
$57. Car 130.
Take us all the way. 420s in bull. Oh, that was thrown quickly.
Yeah, right decision, I felt.
69.
I'll tell you what, he's
Steve
made
car 164.
a royal mess of that.
I think Steve would say that he made a mess of dart 1 there.
64. Delano car 61.
This should be smaller than 61, but now that it isn't, he's got to put it right. 46 left.
25.
And that might be
Steve
that.
car 100.
West for 4 wins from 4 and not playing his best throughout the course of the night. 2 double tops.
40. Delano car 36.
Well, we labelled it the 2 heavy hitters, top of the table clash. Are we going the distance? Nervy moments. Biggest start of the match.
18. Steve car 60.
West heard those words. He can put an exclamation mark next to them by hitting tops again. And he does.
Steve West.
Great start for West. He gets the 4 out of 4 and Pilgrim has to settle for 4 points. West is not going to be caught tonight. And if Reynolds wins the next game, the closest he's going to be to West is on 4 points with Evetts and Pilgrim. What a great game it was. It was topsy-turvy, but West, with one of his best performances of the night, he finds a 4-2 win. And now we will end things for Group B here on day 1 with Rhian O'Sullivan against Steve Reynolds.
It's the final game of the night in this Group B campaign, a night that has belonged to Steve West. Played 4, won 4, and what might please him even more, he's still got plenty left in the locker as well. At times, that was his best performance against Darrell Pilgrim, who you have to feel has missed opportunities in that game. He looked pretty dejected at the end. He's still in a decent position on 4 points, and the man approaching the hockey right now, Steve Reynolds, can join those players, Ted Evetts and Darrell Pilgrim, on 4 points with victory over Rhian O'Sullivan.
First leg, Rhian to through first. Game on.
And Paul, we bigged up Rhian at the beginning of this Group B campaign. I felt she had an outside chance of even qualification, but she's been
28.
disappointing.
She will be disappointed with her level of play. That's for sure. But one more chance to get points on the board. And if she can,
36.
she will be only 2 points behind second and third position. So this has got a big game feel about it. And let's remember,
45.
she's got 2 of the first 3 games come Friday night as well. Big chance to turn things around, but it's just a question of whether she's got that in the locker right now. You want to hear something freaky?
80.
Steve West's last 2 games tonight, exactly the same average. 87.13.
36.
And they are equally his best averages. And it just goes to show that steady wins when it comes to group play. Because Pilgrim's had 2 averages better than that when he's won.
81.
Evetts has had a better average, which was north of 101. But neither of those players are anywhere close to where West is.
140.
Yeah, it's been a funny all night. Lots of quality, but that quality's come from players who have maybe not had the consistency. And Steve West played.
55.
I think he'll feel that the players just didn't turn up against him and give him opportunities. And Steve doesn't need a second opportunity. And on 8 points,
81.
it'd be something crazy for him to not qualify from here. It just makes Saturday night, even better with Steve West in it. He's one of the top players. Jimmy Van Ski already there. It's already beginning to warm up
99.
to be a fantastic Saturday night.
Yeah, and don't forget we have got the climax of Group C from 1 o'clock. That is now
87.
this afternoon.
Car 150.
That's in just a shade over 12 hours' time. Is he going to stay? Almost paid off. Now, Rhian has
98.
not won a leg
Rhian car 84.
since her first game against Westy. 66.
72.
Almost had that
Single
one.
car 52.
Well, Steve can't wait to get to the hockey for his beloved tops. When he misses, it's usually going low.
32. Rhian car 12.
3 o'clock on the dartboard.
Game shown
Banks
as
the
first
leg.
Rhian O'Sullivan.
That's the kind of start she needed. It didn't matter about the quality of the leg.
Second leg, Steve to third
She just
first.
needed to
Game
get
on.
off the mark and into the lead so she can possibly front run.
Yeah, I agree, Paul. There's nothing that she can't do coming back from Steve.
26.
I can see the good darts that Steve's throwing. His bad ones are just when he's just putting too much, there's a lot of body movement. It's an effort to throw the dart.
140.
I think just a little bit of panic is setting up for Steve because now he's favoured for this match going into it. Now he's expected to win. He just has to have that smooth release. It just feels like he's having to fire at it.
100.
The eyes, they look menacing when he releases the dart.
That's why he looks like a bad guy from a Van Damme movie. Because he's got a menacing stare.
95.
Now, do you think that some of these ladies who play Women's Series darts get enough credit for what they do? Because they're always there, They're trying to qualify
100.
for the Women's World Match Play in Blackpool. And it's not always Ashton and Sherrick and Greaves winning these titles. Rhian has got a
38.
title. We've seen wins for the likes of Trina Gulliver and Lorraine Winstanley. And a lot of other ladies have gotten over the line over the last couple of years, including Robin Byrne.
Yeah, she's been terrific. There was a couple of names you said earlier, Paige Paul, and I was so impressed. Aurora Focasato as well from Italy. I mean, there's a lot of young players coming through. I enjoy doing the women's
85.
series, and I think Rhian is very comfortable in those circumstances. And I don't think she's really settled tonight. She looked like she was okay in the players' area, chilling out with the players. But maybe she's just getting a little bit of belief in something that you said also.
140.
It's been a bad night for her. But victory over Steve, she's only 2 points behind qualification.
85.
That's a great last start.
38.
If Steve stumbles, O'Sullivan could pounce. Now that is a mistake.
He's not comfortable.
He's got 13 left. Unlucky for some.
30. Rhian 58.
Well, in normal circumstances for Rhian, there should be no problems whatsoever, but she has not played her best tonight. That is a stinker.
That has not gone to plan.
18. Steve Lucar 8.
That one will hurt. Having said that,
No score.
now she gets a look.
Rhian
Everything is coming up
40.
O'Sullivan all of a sudden.
Yeah, Reynolds has been the underdog in the majority of his games this week. I don't think he's enjoying the fact he's favourite for
20.
this game.
Steve Lucar 8.
But a lack of quality between the pair of them right now.
Game shot in the second leg, Steve Reynolds.
It is tied at 1-1 in the last game of the session. But whenever I hear that word quality,
First, game
I
on.
always think of Roy Keane. It's his favourite word, isn't it?
Well, it's the job.
26.
I wonder what he's going to make of darts season, because he was recently doing his podcast with Gary Neville with a certain Luke Humphreys.
Yeah, I really enjoy them.
He was if I saw this
23.
correctly, Roy Keane was wearing a Tottenham Hotspur Christmas jumper.
Well, I assume he's lost a bet or something. I saw that myself, but I mean, what a moment for Luke Humphreys as well.
100.
A player who was fighting his own demons a couple of years ago to be one of the most eloquent, articulate dart players. Number one, world champion. Off to see the Prime Minister in January, and here he is mixing with probably real heroes of his as well.
Why is he going to go and see Keir Starmer and tell him how to hit his targets?
Well, I would want to go and see him.
Yeah, we don't do politics here at the Modus Super Series.
And he said that also, didn't he, Luke? That he went to see the Prime Minister, the Conservative Prime Minister at the time. You know, the stick he got on social media. He couldn't believe it. He's just won the world title, got offered the opportunity to go to the House of Commons and get stick for doing it. Yeah, when you're doing really well in darts, it can be a cesspit. It's part of the education of these young players coming through as well.
Keep your circles small.
43. Steve Lucar 157.
And that's what I see with Luke Littler. I think he's got a good team around him. This is better from Reynolds. Oh, this is much better from Reynolds. Where's that come from? What a finish.
Well, I'm dumbfounded.
Game on.
It's been a strange game to say the least. But honestly, that finish of 157 is like opening up a bag of cornflakes and finding a golden nugget at the bottom of it.
Well, he's certainly cooking on gas now, that's for sure. Incredible what confidence can do.
140.
I mean, this game was a bag of nails. With that beautiful finish. What is going on here? What is going on?
180.
Hang on a minute. That's now 9 perfect darts in a row. 157 out. Maximum.
141.
On course for a perfect leg. It was too much to ask.
100.
We have had a 9-darter on this stage involving a lady player because Fallon Sherrick beat
60. Steve Leclerc, 41.
the odds by getting a 9-darter against Adam Lipscomb. This is for an 11-darter.
21.
Now all of a sudden he's disappointed by throwing 12 darts and left on 20.
He's upped his average to mid-80s now.
26. Steve Leclerc, 20.
Again, sprinting to the hockey. Almost barging
Range on
Rhian
the
out the way,
fourth
and
leg,
that's the
Steve
reason
Reynolds.
why. Incredible what belief and confidence can do to a player, because
Fifth leg, Rhian
he
to
looked like
third
he
first.
wasn't enjoying the situation. The problem Rhian
Game
did,
on.
she had that opportunity. She could see Steve was on the ropes early doors in this match. But Steve now just won away.
The psychological aspect
100.
of this leg is significant. Because if Reynolds wins 4-1, he will go to 3rd position and into a
134.
progressional spot overnight.
Wow.
Evetts will sink to 4th,
100.
even though he's had the best average of the night, proving that a great average is just one game. But for psychological reasons, being in 3rd instead of 4th just looks and feels better.
It just looks a different player right now, doesn't he? He had such a nervy start to the night.
41.
That opening game against Steve West, I really did fear for him. His throws looked a little bit angry, a little bit frantic. But when he has
100.
that smoother release, and that's what panic can do. The reason I say that is that when I throw a dart myself, I can feel myself
140.
You're
Steve Leclerc,
almost
167.
letting go of the dart, what we call the late release. You're chasing the dart. Staggering performances right now. Unbelievable.
142.
That would have been some way to finish the
Daniel
evening.
120.
And this match. But then again, it could continue if Rhian can find Shanghai.
I think that dart sums up their night, Paul.
44. Steve Leclerc, 25.
Rhian had the lead at the start. She hasn't been able to hold on to it.
Game
Because
shot on the
Steve
mark,
Reynolds, with a real burst towards the end, and 9 perfect darts, bridging a couple of legs. That burst was brilliant. It ended up being an 87.71 average with 30% on the doubles. And if you look at that game on paper, you will think, well, maybe it had a moment with the 157, but there was more to admire in that game, especially with the 2 maxims, which were back-to-back. Just a few things to go over before the end of the session. Glenn and I will talk about them after this. Welcome back to Portsmouth. This is what we've seen in Group B this evening with Steve West having a perfect night. Average-wise, he's going to have to be happy with mid to high 80s stuff, but in his last two performances, identical averages of just over 87 to get two valuable wins. And unfortunately for Rhian O'Sullivan, the other side of the coin for her, not getting a win from her 4 games. And everybody else, somewhere in between. As you can see, 4 wins from 4 for West, nothing for Rhian O'Sullivan, but everybody in the middle, 4 points for them. And there's a bit of a dogfight in the middle there, Glenn. Interesting times ahead when it comes to Friday night.
Yeah, there's a bit of symmetry there, isn't there, with Steve West on 8 and Rhian on 0. I mean, start with Rhian. You know, it was a disappointing night. I mean, you can look for excuses, which we try to offer some there because she's so much better than the play that we witnessed tonight. And for Steve West, I think he's got away with one tonight. You know, 87 averages, yeah, that's fine. He can do much more than that. But players just didn't seem to play against him, and 4 wins out of 4. I mean, that's why he just qualifies comfortably. He's one of the top players, you know, a lot of it down to his finishing. I still think there'll be something niggling, despite the fact that 1-1-6 for a routine victory over Ted Evetts, that he'll still want to put a major performance in tomorrow night, getting ready for Saturday night.
You and I know how Steve ticks, and he will analyse his performances and how he felt in those games. He'll still want to do more, like you said, because he's got an immense amount of pride coming into this place.
Yeah, and I'm sure he is. I mean, I'm sure there's real quality there. And like I said, you can see the head shaking from Darryl Pilgrim. Darryl Pilgrim, for the majority of that game, was the better player. But Steve West, don't give him an opportunity. You know, that's what he's done. He's done it for, you know, the 20 years I've sort of known him there. Big smiles at the end. And all you can ask for is 4 wins out of 4. Job well done.
Pilgrim tonight, 4 points from a possible 8. He's probably going to go to bed tonight thinking, how has that happened?
Yeah, similar to Ted Evetts, you know, flashes of brilliance on the pair of them. The 180 hitting's extraordinary. I mean, he's got a real talent there. His job is now, what's the missing cog in the wheel? Because everything's there, that Rolls Royce throw. You know, that when the first dart goes, that first dart merchant there. But, you know, why is he not taking that next step? But a joy to watch. Fully expect him to qualify.
3 players on 4 points, and probably 3 players thinking very differently about those 4 points. In particular, Reynolds.
Yeah.
He finds his way into 3rd position in the table, and he'll be thinking, well, I'm not really sure how this has been the case.
I mean, from the very first dart he threw tonight, he was nervous. And listen, this 157 come from absolute nowhere. We both sat up in our chairs. I mean, his finishing's been great this week. I just felt he was trying too hard tonight. He was like really powerfully throwing the dart, and it wasn't suiting him, because when you throw a dart harder, I mean, I know that because I'm often chasing around myself with a dartboard and maybe throwing a dart too hard. So when he was caressing the dart, when he was a bit more using his time, and he looked better. For him to go into 3rd place tonight when he played his C- game, that's got to be a big G up for him, big night for him tomorrow.
Speaking of tomorrow, I suppose it's today now, I guess. Group C is coming up. We thoroughly enjoyed that this afternoon.
Yeah, I did.
What are you looking forward to most about this? Because this is fairly tight. You've got the top 4 separated by 2 points, and Hilton Klein is not out of this.
Oh, he was my favourite player today. Like I say, he plays with a smile. You know, to have the Group A that he had and then bounce back today. But very reminiscent of the Group B. I'd like to think that Conan Whitehead can get a couple of wins and he runs away with things. And then there's that incredible dogfight that we'd have with 3 players chasing for 1 spot. It's tough to get out the Group C normally. Very tough this week, because that was a very, very good Group C. Can't wait for that.
It was. Can't wait for the end of that one. It's been a very long day, but a very enjoyable one.
Absolutely.
Glenn, thanks for your company. Looking forward to seeing you again in the afternoon, but in a small matter of 12 hours' time, we'll have another double session, so we look forward to seeing you then, live on the Modus Super Series YouTube channel from 1 p.m. That is local time. We hope you have a very happy Thanksgiving if you're still tuning in from the United States or Canada, so enjoy that, and we will enjoy a little bit of rest before we come back in about 12 hours. We hope to see you then. Take care. Good night. We're signing out for now.